I think the only tough thing was for a lot of players, they felt like they didn't have a choice. It was almost like you have to do these things, you got to follow these protocols, or else you're not going to have a job and you're going to get cut. But for me, I just felt in my situation, I talked to my wife and I was fully okay with stepping away from football. It was like, I'm gonna stick to my principles.
Wow.
I'm not gonna compromise. And if this is my last season, then so be it. And I think I think in some ways I was an example for a lot of the guys, like, wow, maybe I should have stood up a little bit more. Maybe in the future when there's something that's gonna come down where I feel like my freedom's getting taken away and I feel like I don't have a voice, well, I can stick up and stand up for what I believe in. Because at the end of the day, football isn't my life. It's my job. I love it. I love kicking. I love the Chiefs. I love playing. But I'm a child of God and I'm a husband and father, and that comes before playing football. So if I'm ever doing something that I think goes against those first two things, as being a child of God and as being a husband and father, then I'm prepared to step away and look for another means to provide for the family. So I think a lot of the younger guys, especially who maybe identify as just football as my life, that is who I am, they were the ones that maybe had to compromise on their beliefs just so they could continue doing what they love. And it's a tough thing. I don't know what I would have done if I was in their position as a young Ricky, but being more established in the NFL, I thought I was, I'd kind of seen what the NFL was about. I've been blessed to play 5 seasons, and I know that I'm more than just a football player, and that really helped me kind of stay strong during this whole thing.
So you were ready to leave football if it came down to it. You said this is basically like the hill that I'm going to die on. Was that something you expressed to higher ups at the Kansas City Chiefs? Something you talked about with your teammates, or is that something you kind of just kept in with your family? Like, if it gets to this point, this is what I'm going to stay strong on. This is where I'm going to hold the line.
For the most part, I kept it with my family, but I think everyone kind of understood that because they're.
All right. Well, this guy's the big talk of the town. I don't know. People are freaked out. Oh, by the way, we're back. How's it going, Western?
As good as always.
Yeah, I figure we talk about the football player. I don't know if enough people have talked about this, or maybe too many people have talked about this, but I think everybody's getting it wrong.
My sports ball, my athlete intellectuals. It's a frustrating situation because this is who we're left with to represent us on a grand scale. We don't get anybody that can articulate any of our points seriously. Instead, we get this kind of Christ-cucked guy that's going on about my wife, my opportunities, my chance to make a difference, and everything else. And he really didn't say anything too outstanding. He didn't say anything too offensive.
Western decline. That's what I wanted to maybe put you on the spot. Why is this such a big deal? Why do you think he created such? What's the angle that upset the establishment the most?
I think that they're most frustrated with the guy. I think first off, I think that this is not organic at all. I think that somebody is pulling the strings on public discourse the same way that the university mugging with the beta male bystander that didn't intervene, it was too timely. It's like scripted content to drive the narrative of the public in one direction or another, and this is very much the same thing. It's, in my opinion, it's no coincidence that the particular guy who decides to do this speech just happens to look like the Chad meme with the beard, with the fucking swept hair and everything else. Like, I refuse to accept that as coincidence, and I think that is the frustration. Is they haven't been able to paint him as an incel. That's the problem. Normally, if I got up there, if some of these other guys got up there and did this, the criticism would be, well, he's bald. Well, his teeth are fucked up. He's fat. He's obviously just resentful. He wants to enslave a woman. And the guy that they had up there is not the best looking guy ever, but he's obviously, has options. He has a wife, he has kids or whatever. So it plays into the whole optics thing, and that's what they can't stand about it. If even Myron Gaines, for example, right? Myron Gaines says a lot of this stuff more harshly, and they just dismiss him. So that's what bothers them about it. They have to pretend and inflate what he's actually said because they can't attack him personally. So they got to misrepresent what was even, in the content of his speech.
What do you think about like black people maybe whining about him because like Colin Kaepernick doesn't get to keep playing football?
I mean, I see sports ball as not only like softcore cuckold pornography for loser whites, but I think it is very much like the modern slave auctions. There's a lot of people in society, the rich upper crust, that I think they really liked bidding on their manly monkeys. And it's, if you ever watch like a Barrett Jackson auction, a lot of it is just extremely rich guys jerking off with their money about who can buy the most perfect '69 Camaro. And I see sports as a very similar thing. Like, oh, my black guy is so much faster and stronger than yours, and it's just all flexing like that. The blacks are there to, compete, push a political narrative if necessary. The Colin Kaepernick thing soured too many of the cucked whites. They had to bring the cucked whites back to watching football with the Taylor Swift and the guy she's dating thing. Another scripted contrivance, right? Colin Kaepernick woke up too many whites to how cucked they were watching football. So that's why he can't play anymore. It's not because he's not allowed to have an opinion. He's not allowed to have those opinions. The same way, who was the basketball player? Kyrie Irving, started sharing those books about how, blacks might be the real Israelites, and he was quickly going to be taken out of the NBA because those weren't opinions he was allowed to have. That's just more proof, in my opinion, as well, though, that this is not a natural grassroots type of thing. Because I've seen some of his teammates. There's one of his black teammates came out and gave a speech today about how, I might not agree with everything he says, but he's a wonderful person, excellent teammate, and I stand by his right to say it. So be interesting to see where it goes. I don't really know what their angle with this is yet. Maybe they're trying to steer your average kind of simp man into thinking that this is now acceptable discourse. It's kind of like a DLC update to the average sports normie mind. It pushes the Overton window into the direction of questioning women's behavior. If even the guys they're watching on TV are openly kind of calling it out, it's not so much an in the closet sort of behavior anymore, where it's just losers and relegated men talking about it. No, like, multi-million dollar athlete, reasonably attractive, relationship success is also on the same page. So it kind of strips away the taboo nature of it.
Well, I didn't know that he basically attributed all his success to a woman. I missed that clip. I thought he was saying like more based stuff. He basically attributes everything he's ever gotten in life to, the woman in his life. So is it that based? Really, I think that the issue is Western Decline is attacking the narrative. We got a good-looking, successful man who is saying things you're not supposed to say about the feminist stuff. That women should be mothers. That's the problem. I think that's the real issue. And I kind of wonder if he's going to keep playing football. I know people probably don't care about this. We're going to move on soon, guys. If you have anything to say to that, Western Decline.
Yeah, I think that it's the same kind of reason that like Leonardo DiCaprio draws ire, not because he necessarily talks about these things, but because he, through his actions, conveys that he agrees with a lot of the points made here, right? Like the whole not dating a woman over the age of 25. He doesn't need to say anything because his actions speak louder than words. You have women trying to pretend that he's been ugly his whole life now too. So
Yeah, we got someone in the chat. He dunked on COVID, Biden, abortion, even Jews. They didn't care until he attacked feminism.
yeah, but these are also all kind of topics that are allowed to be talked about now. 10 years ago, you weren't allowed to cover the JQ, and now it's kind of out in the open. It's less of a taboo thing. I don't really want to go through the mud and shit up the discourse here, but rest assured, there's many topics nowadays that are still heavily censored. Um, An example of them that I might give is that like nuclear weapons are fake. Okay, if you try and go down that route, watch how quickly you get censored. So talking about Jews has been given the green light because Jews also control anti-Semitism. It benefits them to have anti-Semitism now because it lets them pass these laws in Congress, stifling free speech and everything.
I love the dinosaur talk and the nuke talk. I think that's great. Fucking, I mean, I don't know, man. And people get so triggered by this because they've been watching dinosaurs on TV when they were a little kid, and and the nukes and how it's all there's this great threat looming, and people want to buy into the dinosaurs and the nuke stuff. And I'm not saying that stuff's not true. I'm saying like I'm open for it. Like I'm kind of an apologist for all these people, flat Earth types, dinosaur deniers.
We'll have to do that on another stream then, because I could go on about a lot of these things. But the similarities between the pandemic and the nuke scare tactics are very similar. Like you just have to look at that footage where they're telling people, kids, crouch under your desk when the nuke when the mushroom
No, they
clouds
built
in the
bunkers.
sky.
The
Like,
Western Client, they built literally. These people were literally believed that they were everyone's going to die. I mean, wow, what a time to be alive. When you look at like kind of hindsight, and you look at back 100 years, you think, good God, look at what these people believed in, or even 200 years, whatever.
yeah. The television was a very powerful brainwashing tool that I think is responsible for a lot of the retardation that boomers suffer from. I've heard it referred to as the electric Jew in the corner of the living room, and I don't think there's a better term to describe it. You have kind of a live-in thought moderator that tells you what to think, and there's that 4chan post that talks about how beta males and women filter all of their ideas through consensus. So they don't ask, is this true? They ask, is it safe for me to think this? And when the herd messaging is telling them that that is not what the majority of people think, it triggers like a danger feeling and they won't believe it. So
you're saying that this whole NFL kind of narrative with this football guy is like kind of astroturf?
I mean, I see in the chat talking about how it wasn't. It's a traditional Catholic speech. I don't disagree with that aspect, but the fact that he was given a platform to do it and then signal boosted is the inorganic part. Okay, like if they wanted what he said to go away, they would not put it on every single news station for 2 weeks. They wouldn't show like all these people reacting to it and everything else. Like it's that old adage of any press is good press, and he's getting a lot of press. So it's he'll be the new kind of a counterculture sort of guy. If you watch MMA at all, they have Bryce Mitchell on there and Thug Nasty on UFC, and he covers a lot of these topics himself. He just made a Twitter post today talking about how he just had the birth of his son, and he made a post saying that he's going to homeschool him so that he doesn't turn into a gay communist. These guys are they're kind of caricatures of having a lot of these opinions.
You say there's something kind of, maybe, I mean, you're kind of not saying it's total astroturf, but you're saying there's something going on. And I want to ask you about women complaining on the internet. We're seeing TikTok videos in every social media app. We're seeing threads on Twitter. I guess I'll share my screen. I'll play one of the recent ones, not all of it, just a clip, just to kind of get it going here. But I want to ask you about some of this stuff real quick. We'll play the clip here, and then we'll talk about it.
Yeah, Anthony Oliver is a good example of this fake and gay astroturfing, like I think is going on with this football guy. Jake Shields as well. I like what he says, but I don't like that he's so off base on the man issue. He's got the fat daughter, and it's not to disparage her. I don't want to attack some guy's daughter's looks, but you can't reasonably sit here and tell men that they need to constantly improve like Jake Shields does, and men are dropping the ball when your daughter is like easily obese, man. I understand why he feels that way, but this is also why men that are attached at the hip with their daughters and wives need to like stay out of some of these topics.
I'm not someone that posts or cries or anything on the internet, so this is a new one for me. I guess I need girls to rally with me and lift me up because I feel so defeated right now. I've been trying to meet someone, just anybody worth my time for years. And dating apps are so awful. I don't need to explain to you how awful the dating apps are. So I've been trying to meet people in public, and they're still trash when I do randomly meet people in public. But tonight takes the cake.
We don't need to play the whole thing. You get the gist of it. We've seen lots of these clips. I don't know, like, are we
Hang on. Pull the stream back up. I wanted to point something out in the background. I've watched this clip a couple times, and I just
God damn it! I gotta go in my history now. I already.
I'm sorry. I don't mean to. But yeah, I think
I want to
it's
read the
worth pointing
quote.
out.
I want to read the comment on the top of the tweet. Single guy, stop playing video games. Take this woman on a date. She's nice, and it's going to be an excellent wife. Is going to be an excellent wife and mom. I'll pull it up here. Sorry.
Yeah, I think that this is a lot of the millennial women that I kind of warn about. These are going to be the women that push the age of consent laws even higher. You're not going to be able to legally date a woman below the age of 25 if women like this had their ways. They're not going to allow you. What I wanted to point out with this clip, I didn't notice this the first time I watched it through, but it's jumping off the page to me. If everyone would direct their attention to the top right hand corner of the shelving behind her, look at the picture of the grinning black guy with the little puffed of hair on his head she's got up on the shelf like some sort of a fucking deity. Okay. Is it any surprise that she's in this situation? What reasonable explanation would she have for having the image of that guy up there? And yeah, sure, maybe MTF, whatever. They love to send out the Transformers to have these people control the narrative. They love having their.
It's just fucking bizarre to me.
They're
Hanging
eunuchs.
around Western Decline. I'm hanging out in the black pill spaces, and every fucking dude on the internet's complaining about women, and I get it. Women are awful. I totally understand that. But then you go on the internet and you see all these red pillars. You see like the Twitter threads, TikTok. What the fuck is going on here? I mean, women seem to be complaining that they're not getting laid. I mean, what the fuck?
Oh, so it's about women tried to co-opt the incel thing very early on, and what I think it's about is they need to politically disarm white men, because if the incel thing gains traction, which it is, like a lot of men are black pilled, a lot of men are becoming disillusioned with the whole idea, it would force the progressive stack that we're currently dealing with to be shuffled, because it would call into question the idea that white men are always oppressors and they're always in a position of power and dominating everybody else if they can't even manage to get their basic sexual needs met. So women have to pretend that they are actually the biggest victims of loneliness. They're actually the ones that are suffering the most under the dynamics, because if they don't come out and do this, then men may actually get a little sliver of victimhood, and we live in the victim Olympics, so that can't be allowed.
Yeah, I've just noticed this Western Decline. Like, I've seen women complaining about men all over the internet. This is fucking madness, bro.
It looks like a concerted push for sure. It's the same thing as in the last couple months. You had all of the right-wing e-girls all of a sudden coming out. They dusted off all the old babushkas to have one final one final push, to try and rally right before it's election year again. They got to have Lauren Southern and all these other broads come out and start, doing their usual shuck and jive. So
I know I hate to do this. Like, we're talking about football players, and now I'm gonna ask you about a rapper. But like, what do you think about the whole P Diddy thing? Like, did he really do? I mean, are these women victims? Women are women victims from the the Weinstein stuff? Is that or women? What do you think about that? What's your kind of angle with that? Because
I think women like
a
to
lot of people
retract
blame Weinstein, and a lot of people blame the men, and then we got a lot of these edgelords. They're saying it's no.
A couple years ago, I was very anti-Weinstein. I thought, this guy's a Jew. This guy's abusing his position. He's defiling my pure white shield maidens who just want to have an honest career in Hollywood. And I'd like to have Weinstein back at this point, because since Weinstein left, we've been getting these fucking uglies and Dayas. Weinstein might have abused his position with a little bit of casting couch action, but at least he had like a decent eye for women that you'd want to put on screen. He gave you something nice to look at instead of this Romeo and Juliet bullshit. Uh, if Weinstein is the price to pay for having attractive movie stars again, then so be it. You know, uh, and the idea that it's like unique to him, this goes on across the alley, and the fact that they went after Weinstein is very kind of like low hanging fruit. They'll never address Dan Schneider or any of the guys doing the same casting couch shit, but they're doing it with parents that turn a blind eye while their kid is pimped out in order to get the whole family rich. So I have a real hard time taking any of this criticism seriously. Look at the Roman Polanski stuff. Roman Polanski fucking 13-year-olds, and all of Hollywood defends him. But now we're supposed to crack the whip on Weinstein. It seems like a misdirection. As for the P Diddy stuff with the rappers, I listen to a lot of kind of pop culture conspiracy stuff. I forget the name of his channel. I think it was Yash Kara. It was a black guy that used to cover all the sort of black media conspiracy stuff, and he had a clip of Tupac giving an interview on a radio show, and Tupac was talking about how Quincy Jones, the father of the girl he was dating at the time, wanted to meet him at like a eyes wide shut type like mansion party, and Quincy Jones was like begging Tupac to like fuck him in the ass. And I think that this is kind of just part and parcel of Hollywood in general. You have Dave Chappelle doing those skits where he talks about, or it might not have been Dave Chappelle. It could have been, who's the other guy? His name's eluding me. But the other guy who turned down $50 million, talking about how you go to one of these mansion parties, you fuck around, you look in the wrong room, and you see something you're not supposed to. I think that this stuff is, yeah, Cat Williams. Thank you. Uh, I think it's part and parcel. So Diddy has ran his course. They need another kind of sacrificial lamb to distract the world. And for all we know, Diddy was actually we don't know what Diddy did to draw this upon himself. We're not necessarily privy to the backroom machinations that would drive them to throw Diddy on the pyre. For all we know, Diddy might actually be one of the good people. Diddy might have, grew a conscience and like, no, I'm not going to groom the next Justin Bieber or whatever. And they're like, okay, well, we're going to throw you under the bus for grooming Justin Bieber. You don't want to do this next one? Okay, well, then you're cooked, bud. You're done for. So, yeah, the fall guy. And the fact that is Diddy even in custody? They're pretending that they can't catch him, that he's got away on an airplane. They're tracking him to Miami or some shit. Dude, they know the location of every single person. If they wanted to find you, you'd be in custody tomorrow. Okay, this idea that these guys can just get away is complete nonsense.
Do you think well, I don't even want to add. Let's move on. Fuck P Diddy. I don't even care. He's probably a shitbag. Just like it's like the fucking thing with the white nationalists and like black crime, and the George Floyd stuff. Like, ask me if I fucking give a fuck about Derek Chauvin. The guy would have jammed me up for bullshit too.
Yeah, and I said that to my probation officer. I told him like, I'm here, I'm serving my time for like asking this girl out, but like the idea that I have to take this seriously is like this is like a longhouse struggle session. I'm not gonna I'll maliciously comply, but that'll be the end of it. I'm not gonna sit here and pretend that I feel like I actually did something wrong here. If I was I gave him all the analogies, like the Palestinian protests on campuses getting shut down, but blacks are allowed to, burn cities to the ground for BLM. Boomers will only ever go after soft targets, and even then, a lot of the time they let those slide too, as long as it's convenient for them. And oh my God, what is this we're about to watch?
I want to ask you about some of the rituals white women are engaging in, but
Okay.
before we do that, I mentioned Derek Chauvin. Might as well get into it just briefly. Do you think he should be in prison the rest of his life?
No, I don't. As much as I agree with your take that I have no personal fondness for Derek Chauvin. The guy would have done the same thing to me. All the guys that arrested and persecuted me for the crime of asking a girl to see a movie, it was all white boomer cops, and I'm actually sad that it wasn't the other way around. I wish, Derek Chauvin would have had his gun wrestled away from him by Floyd and Floyd like mag dumped him or something. But it is unfortunate because with the Derek Chauvin situation, it highlights how precarious of a position white men are in our own countries. Because even people that are trying to enforce the law, there's the talk about like the Daniel Perrys and these other guys that are, acting as vigilantes to defend women and ending up being punished. Even the people whose job it is to defend women can't even do it anymore because they're so low on the progressive stack that they'll be thrown under the bus if the regime needs to save their own ass. And you see this with we used to have, what do they call it, racial profiling, where black people would accuse cops of, oh man, you's just pulling me over because I'm black. And we have very much the opposite now, where they basically let non-whites get away with anything because the cops are aware of this dynamic. Like, they want their pension, they don't want riots outside their household. So the only demographics that is actually safe for them to police are their own. The only people that a white cop is going to feel comfortable fucking with anymore is white guys, maybe white women. So it's hard to have sympathy for them.
Yeah, I don't really care much about Trump or whatever, but it was pretty cool to see him say, like, on television or whatever to that reporter, like, "Hey, wait, white people are getting killed all the time by by police officers. Basically shove it, But
Yep.
I'm not trying to worship Trump or anything.
I like Trump. He's the best of a bad situation. I don't think he's ever going to build the wall. I don't think he's ever going to mass deport people. But I support Trump for the same reason I support Pearl Davis. On a personal level, I don't really agree with them. Trump, married his daughters all off to Jews. He goes to Israel, talks about
Yeah,
how
Western
Israel's
decline. I mean,
the best.
it's hard to hate Pearl Davis because she's like, her tweets are based as fuck. And she's like going hard on the tradcon types. It's fucking wonderful. But then it's like, oh wait, she's kind of like like a mid woman who's like a coal burner, and I don't know.
Yeah,
It's
that's my
fucking
criticism of her as well. I could never take Pearl Davis seriously, A, because she's a woman, but B, because of her dating history. And the only reason she's even jumped on this bandwagon is, uh, she basically gave pre-selection to like the gorilla that she was dating, and he was able to monkey branch from her to a more attractive redhead. So she realizes how kind of snaky women can be because she got burnt by one herself. And I do agree with Tradster in the chat here that it's not just cops, but civilians as well. And a good video that would illustrate this, if anybody's seen it recently, is the clips of that young girl,
that's
reasonably
like great.
attractive.
It's a great point though, Tradster. Go ahead, finish your point.
Yeah, she's been playing the harp in the UK, I believe. She's doing like street music. And who comes up and gets in her face? Some random old boomer bitch gonna sit there and complain about her begging while playing music. The boomer bitch won't say anything to the feral hordes that are, piling into the country, but she's gonna complain about that. The soft, safe target that she can take all of her impotence out on without really any risk of facing backlash.
That was my problem. I talked with Kessler a couple weeks ago. That's my problem with the Karen meme. It's not that I even really agree that it's quote unquote anti-white per se, but think about it. Like, finally some fucking white boomer gets to be kind of quote unquote discriminatory. You know what I mean? And then they revel in it. And it just fucking bothers me because the only reason they do it is because it's white women or their own kind, and it's acceptable.
Women's propensity to tear down other women is a large mechanism that gets like routinely manipulated. They Our community, as you know, there's lots of infighting and everything, but at the end of the day, we're infighting because we disagree over the state of things are or the prescription to solving the issues. Women will smile in each other's face and feed one another poison. Like, a lot of the way modern young women are can be blamed on their mothers. I can't, like, how can you blame the girl that was raised in a broken home for not being able to understand or function within a relationship? And she never had an example of a positive one. Doesn't know what it looks like. All she knows is
Well,
mo
they talk
tingles.
about the boomers selling out the future of the young, but it's not just like sell out with monetary. It's literally like using them for as pawns.
Yeah. There's a million different ways to use a person, and
Well,
boomers seem to be fond of using them all.
before we get into like the women and their weird rituals lately, I and I hate to do this, but Collective Dismal's in the chat, and we're talking drama with different personalities or events or whatever, and he wanted to know if this Shields, Jake Shields, a bad optics is. What do you think about his kind of arc?
I think for people that are in these kind of topics, he's a frustrating guy to have representing us because he's not really eloquent. He's very much like a grug, but at the same time, that's also what's effective about him. He gets through to your average like beer swilling sports ball watching retard these kind of ideas. It makes them realize that it's like, I don't know, acceptable to believe. I don't like him though on like a personal level because you can tell that he's not an early adopter of these ideas. Yeah, a based meathead is a good way of putting it. Like,
Yeah, I'm not too familiar with the guy, so I just figured I'd ask you about him since people were wondering about him.
he's just a late arrival, and you can tell because his takes aren't very nuanced. It's all like very surface level gotchas. Like, if you say don't do A, but here's you doing A, well, what about that, Jews? And like, for a third party audience, I mean, it's beneficial, I guess, but it's nothing that hasn't been done better by other people. He has the fame while doing it, and to be honest, he never really was a very famous like MMA fighter. Looking back on it, he has kind of an impressive record, but he was never like a big name. He wasn't a Conor McGregor, a GSP, or anything. So it's more they dusted off like a B tier celebrity, and he's made his new grift complaining about Jews. So look at how aggressive that one in the background is. The one in the
guys get
purple
triggered.
dress.
Guys get triggered by this. I mean, I don't get, and I'm not trying. This is kind of a bad example. I understand, like, oh, look at all these women just like shaking their ass, but guys do silly shit too, and I'm not trying to simp for these women. I do want to ask you, Western Decline, about the weird kind of gym rituals, MMA, these kind of these camps that these white women, these millennial white women are going to. I'm sure you've seen these these clips. Women engaging in quote unquote activities to kind of maintain their weight. Isn't this just all silly and stupid, and what the fuck?
I think a lot of it is very performative. Women's idea of working out, very few of them actually go get that like jacked or anything. I think we see a lot more of them, yeah, just because of how the internet works. The ones that like,
Who wants to
shape.
date a woman who goes to the gym? What the fuck? That is just retarded.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's kind of relative where if you're like kind of like I'd compare it to tattoos, where I could see a guy that has a lot of tattoos himself not minding the tattoos on his woman. It kind of makes more sense that way. But if you're a guy that isn't into that lifestyle, it's going to be a big turn off in most cases. And I see it the same with like bodybuilding. If you're a guy that easily, like, you're huge, you're jacked, then your girl being, kind of big is not, you're an appropriate pairing at that point. But for guys that aren't like bodybuilders, I agree. It's an emasculating thing, and it's not even a case of most of these women, I'm like a lazy dude. I'm not in very good shape, yet I'm reasonably confident that like there's not a woman in the UFC that I couldn't like KO in the first round. Okay, and I don't think they could really even injure me at the same time. So it it makes it look like the woman is this like powerful like thing, and in reality they're not that strong. It's like show muscles. It makes you look weak even when you're not.
How do guys, and you see like the Tom Brady types, I get it. You're like a hot shot. So your wife's like doing yoga or whatever. But to have like some like, physically fit man, like physically with your wife for 2 hours, twice a week or whatever, that is just fucking madness to me. How is this even a thing? Like,
Well, have you seen
I
the
would
discourse?
never allow my girlfriend to be like hanging out with another dude, like wrestling on a mat. This is fucking madness.
Yeah, you've seen the discourse about Brazilian jiu-jitsu coaches. Like, yeah, I mean it's one of those things where women have these kind of Trojan horses where it's almost like if you think of a situation where a father would be convinced to allow his kid to do something because he doesn't really want to do it, doesn't want to let them go, but dad, everyone's going to the party, dad. They kind of have to because at the same time they don't want their kid to be excluded. Like adult women manipulate this same mechanism to where once something gets popular, they can claim that it's normal and then invert the situation on you and claim that you're insecure if you don't want her, doing Brazilian jiu-jitsu grappling with her coach. Okay, all the girls do it. So
I just would never allow my girlfriend to work out with another man for like 2 hours or twice a week or 3 times, whatever. This is
oh, it's
fucking crazy.
insanity. I think that
Fucking
if you're even
madness.
at the point where she's asking for this, it's already over. Like if you have to tell her no, you can't go roll around with Rodriguez on the mat. Like she's gonna go do something like that anyway.
I don't
Without
even know why. I know guys want to like. I know guys are just like itching to get it in, right? They never, I get it that urge to like fuck everything in sight, spread your seed, blah blah blah. But this whole like, fucking around with women that are gym girls, military women, like who wants to actually take any of these women seriously? Are you fucking crazy?
Well, I don't think they're really taking them seriously. I think in a lot of cases, how to describe this? I think in a lot of cases, these women are attractive mainly only because they're in an area where women are scarce. This is increasingly society as a whole, but especially in these male dominated hobbies. And men have their own kind of interpersonal uh, grudges and dynamics where they don't get along with certain guys for whatever reason. And women can become kind of a battlefield where they can carry out their interpersonal dislikes. So you may not even personally be interested in a girl, but if that girl is interested in a guy that you don't like, then you may spark an interest in her just to spite him. And this has been my experience a lot of times. I'm not necessarily a well liked person, so the second a girl starts showing me any interest, I have a whole bunch of faggots coming out of the woodwork trying to take my bitch to the point where I just don't even care anymore.
Well, I just don't think women should be working out at all. Like I don't want to. I just think women don't get it. Like, what are you looking for? What is it that you want? Because the idea that women playing basketball or running or lifting weights, I'm saying like, no, like the only exercise a woman should ever be engaging in is possibly swimming. That's it.
Well, I think a lot of it is like negrification of the culture. White women, and I can't necessarily y- take no blame for this myself. Like, I like a girl with a big butt, not like comically, but I'm more of an ass guy than I am tits. And I think for a lot of women, women's idea, the advice that they give men, go to the gym. They do this almost naively because a woman can go to the gym, she can lose weight, she can become to a point there's diminishing
I
returns when
fucking
she
hate the
starts getting
gym stuff.
huge.
For real quick, Western Decline, I really hate the gym stuff. Like to maintain, like, especially for men, even like I'm even saying this for men, like you've seen what happens to like the football guys, right? They play football or whatever, and they eat a lot. They take all this the supplements. They're working out. Their calorie intake is up through the roof. You can never maintain this physique. So why even? It's a waste of time to me. Like I get it. Stay fit, stay lean, stay in shape. Have calisthenics. Don't be all locked up and tight. You got to loosen up. You got to exercise a little bit. Move around. But trying to like change your whole body, your genes are your genes. I think this whole workout fucking gym bro shit is fucking retarded, guy.
In my case with the gym, I always found it unappealing because never have I been in a situation where life told me like aside from women where you're not strong enough to do this. Like I haven't run into anything that a man's expected to do that I haven't been able to do with the physique that I have already from working a little bit of manual labor. And the idea that you go work a manual labor job and then you come home and you do like another hour or two of workout, like no dude, I got my workout while I was wage cucking. So I think it's a
I
byproduct
just get
of
so
like
triggered by
desk
all this
jobs.
fucking fitness shit. It's really just caloric intake. If you're eating a bunch of crap, well, yeah, if you want to eat ice cream every day and a lot of pizza or whatever, yeah, you got to run 2 miles a day, but you're going to age out quick. You're going to burn, like it's your body's like a filter. If you throw a whole bunch of crap into it, it's going to be shit, so you got to rinse it out a little bit, detoxify. Like there's certain, like I'm not against like having good health, but just you know pump lifting heavy shit all day is like gay. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, what are you doing while you're there? It's more tolerable when it's somebody doing it their home gym, but like you're in the middle of a bunch of other sweaty dudes. They're all like grunting. They're all like sweating their pheromones into the air and you're like fucking huffing them while you're like taking like smelling salts so you can max your own like PR deadlift. And then what do you do with your PR deadlift? I mean,
I listen to Todd, and I know you guys may be listening to this stream. I get it. If you're in your 20s, like go ahead, build yourself up and become like a great physical but at a certain point after age 30, you're on the decline. Like you want to just maintain health. So I just don't understand this whole obsession with you don't have to do anything. You just do a couple push-ups in the morning. Like you don't have to do all this weird ritual shit that like specifically white women engage in. It's fucking insanity.
yeah, in the case of men, I'm indifferent to it. As long as the guys doing it don't think that they're gonna get women from it, then I'm fine. But like the idea
Well,
that if you like,
I've been physically active my entire life. I played sports and I've been just doing shit, skiing and
mhm.
playing sports and swimming and just moving around all my life. Like this whole idea that you have to take like set all this time away to lift stuff. Like at a certain point, you're just gonna constantly be in aches and pains and ailments. Like I don't want to feel shitty all the time, and that's what you're gonna feel like if you're 35 lifting weights every day.
Yeah, I think that there's more appropriate solutions. Like if you're trying to stay lean, maybe ride a bicycle to and from work in the summer. You don't necessarily need to go
You
commit
don't
all
even
this
have to
time.
like work out, bro. Just eat good food. Like apples and like, beef or whatever, and a paleo diet or whatever the hell it is that works for you. Like, it's just caloric intake. It's just diet. And the reason I mention this Western decline is because, like, women are so concerned about aging out. Well, I see all these women in the suburbs running around the streets of America. Running will age you out faster than anything.
Oh yeah, it turns you into a piece of beef jerky.
Yeah, exactly. We're gonna play a clip. I have not watched this clip. It's about men's desperation. Are men not desperate? That's the quote of the tweet. We're gonna play the clip and have Western Decline respond.
True that, you making noise, bro. Say that ain't my fault. I'm looking for the hoe. Yeah, shake that ass. Shake that ass. Where they at? I'm looking for the hoe. Shake that ass, hoe. Shake that ass. Shake that ass, hoe. Shake that ass, hoe. Yeah, shake that ass, hoe. 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 Shake that ass, hoe.
Yeah, there wasn't a video played, but I mean,
Oh, did I miss the video? Did I miss it?
I mean, I can already
Did I
picture the
fuck
black
it up?
women dancing on top of,
Yeah, I
working on
fucked it
top
up,
of cop
guys. I
cars
fucked
and
it up. I'm
everything else.
sorry. I'm sorry. I wasn't looking at the chat. Well, I'm not gonna play the fucking song again. I'll just let people see the background.
Yeah, okay.
All right. Just give me a second. Jesus Christ. I'm such a fucking
Turn
retard.
that shit up.
I'm such a retard with this fucking goddamn. Oh, I hate it all. I hate fucking computers. I hate tech. I want to burn it all to the ground. Fucking Ted Kaczynski was right. All this fucking
Well, and it's
technology
just going to get worse. You know,
it's
every
fucking madness,
day,
bro.
millions more Indians are getting access to the internet with Starlink and other mechanisms. So it can be a whole lot more boobs and vagine going on.
Oh God. But you guys can see what's going on in the background now. I'm sorry, Western. Thank you for that. Yeah, I was kind of talking about this, like, are men not desperate? It's, people in the streets or whatever. I don't, not people. I don't know what word I'm using. Good God. Done with dating apps. Got in a good run. Just going out to run. Find my wife.
I can't help but notice that he's speaking exclusively to white women, and I can't say I necessarily blame him, but this is how white women act, right? Like, if this was a white guy going up to her, a manlet in these places, he's hat fishing, so he's lacking in the hair. He's not very tall. Physique is mildly impressive. I'm not gonna knock it, but like, you can see how uncomfortable all the white guys in the background are while this is going on, and the white women have no interest in sparing them the humiliation of this, like, going on. They're gonna make them watch this black guy hitting on them, and it's like a captive audience sort of thing. This guy's got his cameraman out. He goes out for the hug, and like, what is the white girl's choice? Her choice is, let's assume
No, I want
she
to
doesn't
mention
want
something,
to. I'll
Western
give her the
Decline.
benefit of the
Western
doubt.
Decline. I want to
Mm.
interrupt you. I want to
Yep.
mention that because Nick Fuentes mentioned this. I know Latino Casino ripped him pretty hard for it, but he basically learned this kind of riz or whatever the fuck we're calling it. God, I hate these terms. So, like, confronting a woman, getting sort of in her face is like a way to, like, allure or attract a woman or to win her over. Like, getting in her space, she has no way out is sort of like is game for men, a way in.
I mean, you kind of see this with the old bar PUA stuff, right? The classic image of the woman leaning on the wall when the guy like puts his arm up beside her and like blocks the exit kind of thing while talking to her. Um, Black men in particular are very good at manipulating this dynamic where they know on some level that white women can't necessarily refuse them. You know, the woman has to basically be willing to throw up a Roman salute to tell a black guy like no, she's not interested in public. So you can tell with the body language, like that girl didn't want to hug him, but she did it anyway, right? And it's completely inappropriate behavior. How many stores have that no shirt, no shoes, no service, but nobody's willing to tell this monkey like, "Hey dude, like your shirt isn't on. Get out of the fucking store." Okay? Nobody'll say it to him, but like realistically that should have been the reaction. And if it was another race of man doing that stuff, like imagine how
It's
bad
really
that
the
guy
time
fucking
of the fucking.
stinks,
It's
dude.
really it's the current year, right? Like this is like where black people get to enjoy white women because of white supremacy, because everyone is attracted and sort of going towards whiteness, not away from it. And then you get the white people, the white liberal women who get to kind of like pat on the head, like, ooh, it's so wonderful. Like I get to like feel good because I'm not a racist or what. It's so fucking sick. God, I fucking hate this fucking world. I'm freaking
Oh
out.
yeah. No, I agree. And even beyond the fact that he's not wearing a shirt, like that guy is so fucking sweaty. Okay, like it looks like he just rubbed himself down with baby oil and he's in a restaurant where people are trying to eat. Okay, like that guy must smell like hot trash in the middle of the summer. Okay, and he just doesn't care. And everyone gonna pretend that it doesn't exist. And yeah, it could be faking gay, but like I see enough of this that unless they're faking and gaying reality as well, hey, which could be the case. I don't put it past them.
We got somebody in the chat saying Wignats will take Mud Shark sloppy seconds. So, what are your thoughts about that, my Western climate? And before you answer, I've dated random women over the years, just to, I've tried to find a quote wife or whatever, and I'm just not finding it. But I have engaged with, with women that I've worked with, women I've met in real life, and I would say half, if not more, white women I've ever dealt with, one, don't even know who their father is, and two, slept with a black.
Yeah, I think a lot of guys have a very backward view on this, and I think that women are largely to blame for this view. Women will tell guys they get this idea in their head that the winner when it comes to women isn't the one that deflowered them, isn't the one that gets them in their prime, but the one that might get to have children with them in their, you know, fucking later years. Okay, when late 20s, 30s, whatever. They get these guys thinking that that's the real winner. So these guys look at it as, it's kind of a similar situation with the mud shark as it is to the cope, where they say, you know, I'm not the stepdad, I'm the dad that stepped up. Okay, like it's like she's not a mud shark. I'm the guy that was more alpha than the Tyrone. Is kind of how I think they're thinking about it. They're thinking that like, they don't view women as damaged by these sort of interactions the way that I do or you do or a lot of people in the chat do. So they think that they're
I'm a
like
fucking very
superior.
possessive person, Western Decline, and like I get it. Like, sometimes it's best not to know all the details, right? But I mean, if you're engaging, relations with a 27-year-old white woman in America, I'm sorry, like the chances she slept with a homie is like fucking like pretty high.
Oh,
I mean,
yeah.
I hate to sound crazy. It's fucking up.
No, no, no. I would agree. I think that beyond a certain point, I would say past 25, if the woman isn't a virgin, which she probably is not going to be in 99% of cases, it's safe to assume not only did she get blacked, she got curried, she got riced, she got tacoed, she got bannocked. Okay, like these women sample the entire smorgasbord. They have it in their head that they're living their best life. They're experimenting. Uh, they're going to try everything. There's no reason not to. There's nothing holding them in check. The only thing that holds them in check is whether a guy of that flavor that is attractive enough for them, whatever, or oofy doofy enough for them, whatever they're looking for at that particular moment.
So, Western Decline, I know you're familiar with the incel sphere of the black pill. And we talk about, how guys aren't being able to, a lot of men aren't going to pair up, and it's a problem, like loneliness, isolation, unable to find a wife. And I was out today golfing, and I golfed with a young guy today. He's 21 years old, and he's a Christian, and he's going to go on a missionary with his fiance, and she's 21 as well. And she doesn't have children. She's an actual, they've known each other for 4 or 5 years. They're both 21. He's like a Christian. They're going to go to, Hawaii and do this whole missionary trip and eventually get married. And people, know, or get the MGTOW types, right? Like, don't get married, or like the Tom Likas types. Like, you want to bang as many women, don't rush to marriage. But then, like, you will never grow together. Like, waiting till you're 30, whether you're a woman or a man, it's sort of hard to make that work. They're going to get debt, they're going to get tattoos, they're going to get body count, they're going to be a single mom. Do you think this young man with German ancestry, a white American Midwesterner, 21 years old, he's known this girl for 4 years. They're going to get married. Do you think that's a good idea? What do you think? What are your thoughts about young people trying to like go with the flow with the narrative and the system and just kind of trying to make it work? What do you think about that?
I wish him the best of luck, but realistically, I think that uh, unless you are like cream of the crop sort of young man,
5'10", little swarthy, very
yeah.
a white guy still, but dark hair,
Do
mustache.
you know? Do you know what his girl looks like?
I
Like
didn't see her. I assume she's reasonably attractive. She's 21 years old and doesn't have a baby yet, so she's
yeah,
probably
so
okay.
top
But
percentile,
he's
just off that alone.
he's like a normie, kind of like a, not even a Brad. He's like a normie. We'd call him like a 5 white guy, 21 years old.
I think that unless you are a guy that has been accumulating sexual experience from a very young age, like women do, dating a woman your own age like that is a recipe for failure, because it's only a matter of time if she doesn't already see you as not somebody for her to look up to, but somebody that's on her level to be contested or below.
Guy pours concrete for a living. Total working class normie, kind of broke ass dude. 21. Like, I'm sorry. Like, I don't want to like black pill him, but I don't want to like allow him to like go off the cliff either. Does that make sense, Western?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of the times it's kind of like being a conscious crash test dummy, where you know that the wall's coming, you know you're on the slingshot strapped in the car, but you can't really, you're powerless to stop it, right? And an under discussed thing in this sphere is the chemical mind control that men
Oh wait,
undergo.
he was able to maybe, I'm sorry, I'm interrupting, Western, but he was sort of able to get through, like, right? He's not the weirdo incel. He's 21. He's got a girlfriend. He's getting married, and you're not going to celebrate that, Western Decline?
Oh, I'm celebrating in the sense that, maybe he crack slipped, maybe he'll pull it off, but at the same time, I wouldn't bet on it. I wouldn't bet on it succeeding. There's too many variables that are out of his control that from the sounds of things, he's not even aware of. Like, you're gonna go, like, where did you say they were going on these missionary trips?
Hawaii, missionary, evangelical Christian.
Yeah, it's gonna be a tough one. At least it's not Africa, or it's, Pacific Islanders aren't
Well,
necessarily
Western
known for
Decline,
being super attractive.
I don't want to pull the veil for him. Like, I don't want to radicalize him, but I don't want him to hurt himself. I care about men, especially white guys with German ancestry. He seems like just a nice man. He's trying to be like a good man. And it's like, damn, dude, he's going to get burned hard. It's going to suck
Oh
for him.
yeah,
I'm
he can't.
sorry. Like, I can't help you. I wish I could, but you don't want to listen to me anyway, right? Because I'm
You
the millennial loser. Like,
not only does he not
you have
want
you
to,
have a chance at success. Why listen to a loser like me? Why listen to this Thomas guy?
yeah. Not only does he not want to, he almost chemically can't. Women, I'm assuming they've had sex by this point. Most of these Christians, even if they're like married, whatever, or not married, like they're not like saving themselves for marriage. So guys that have sex with these girls, the whole pussy whip thing is a chemical phenomena where the woman vaginally secretes copulins, and the whole purpose of the copulins is it is a chemical mind control process by which the man's like ability to think is hijacked by the woman's impetus, to where the copulins will force the male to throw himself between the woman and danger. So like you know, if the woman is getting attacked by a bear, okay, the copulins are going to make the man ignore his self-preservation instinct, even if he has no hope of like defeating the thing, to buy her some time or whatever. And in this situation, if you tried to bring him the truth, you'd be viewed as the bear, and he would be like, he would be unwilling to see you as anything but the enemy if you dare to criticize or suggest that his little schnookums could
Western Decline,
ever do anything.
I just felt kind of like I felt for him because he's just so naive about the world as a 21-year-old. Like God, I wish like myself was able to tell me at his age like what's going on in the world. Like he's just a lost boy, and it's just sad because like I don't think it's gonna work out, but I kind of like hope it does. Like I'm glad he's not like the weirdo 36-year-old incel that I work with or whatever, right? Like he's not
Yeah.
that guy, but man, it might not work out. And I hate to be like the pessimistic like MGTOW guy, but like you're operating on a system that is going to fail for you on whether you want it to not, you know what I mean? No matter what you do. And that's what's so fucked up about it.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a case of just hearing this description of him makes me think that he was probably selected for that reason. He's not selected because he knows what he's doing, because he's experienced. In fact, the opposite.
No, it's the opposite.
Yeah,
Yes.
the sort of woman that would select a guy that's so oblivious to the way things actually work is the sort of woman with a past that she
Just from
doesn't
hanging
want
out
being
with Western
uncovered.
Decline, just from hanging out with them for like 2 hours, I'm like, bro, this guy's getting cheated on already.
Yeah, I believe it. I had a similar situation. I was riding my motorcycle one summer and I came across the guy who had like crashed his motorcycle, okay? And I'd already done this myself and I'd pieced my own back together a couple times. So like I told him like, "Oh, it's not that bad. Like I'll show you how
Oh,
to
by
like
the way,
fix this."
Western Decline, don't feel
Mhm.
bad. I've been in multiple motorcycle wrecks. Like if you
Oh,
ride motorcycle, you're gonna
it's a
crash.
matter of time. Um but yeah, he made the mistake. He was kind of naive. He was a younger guy, kind of like what you're describing here. And he made the mistake of he like invited his girlfriend over to come like hang out with us while I'm trying to help him fix his bike. Okay. And the whole time I was trying to be like respectful. I was like I was only talking to him. I was basically like ignoring her. I'd respond to her if she like talked to me, but I wasn't like striking up any
Sure, that's how
conversation.
I treat all women. Go ahead.
Yeah, and she eventually got like so annoyed with the way I was acting that she just went and like sat in the car of theirs in like a huff and like waited for us to finish, which was hilarious because it was really hot outside.
I'm
Like
sorry.
they were
I'm not
barely turned
here
on.
to entertain women that ain't sucking my dick. I'm sorry.
Well, and that's the thing too, is I'm not trying to take this guy's girlfriend either. You know what I mean? But like he was completely oblivious to the dynamic that this woman is like
Oh, we're
feeding
all
my
equal.
attention.
We're partners. This whole partner, like, don't you hate that word, Western Decline? Like partnership. Like, what happened to husband? I'm the man. Do what I say, bitch.
Yeah, I mean, it's all it's a desexualization of everything. It's the same way dating has been fagified, It used to be a process of courtship where the families would, be involved and kind of looking out for the best interest of both parties. And instead, we've moved to the homosexual model with dating apps based off of Grinder, meeting in a bar like gays used to have to do under the cover of darkness. And we don't even call each other husband and wife anymore. Boyfriend and girlfriend has also gone by the wayside. People call each other, they'll call it a situationship or something like that. It's complicated. They don't want to put a label on it because a label would imply some sort of exclusivity, some sort of obligation, and they don't like being tied down.
Silly guy in the chat. Great commenter, by the way. I've really appreciated your feedback. No girl is looking to get with guys. with this outdated boomer I'm the man mentality. And I completely agree with you. It hasn't worked for me at all, but I refuse to capitulate. I'm sorry, like I am not going to let a woman raising her voice or behaving unorderly around a man. It's just absurd to me. Like no, Jimmy.
It's the relationship equivalent of a child screaming in a busy restaurant while people are trying to enjoy their meal.
I'm going to read a quote from a tweet, and I just want you to respond. I know that you're in the black pill space and you understand copes. We've got TradCons. We have Cadence. I don't know how to say a fucking homie name. Owens, Miss Owens. Is that her last name? God, what's her name?
Okay, no, Candace Owens, the black
Yeah,
chick
Candace
fired from the
Owens,
Daily Wire.
complaining about pornography and how it's like demonic. And we have addictions out there: marijuana, pornography, video games. What do you think about the TradCon kind of angle at saying, hey, like put all this stuff away? As a millennial, as a man living in modern America who's having trouble with women, who has no real reason. I mean, go to work for what? You ain't gonna own a house. You're not gonna have a wife or a mother of your children. So, but you need to put the porn down. What do you think about that, Western Decline?
I'll get to porn last. I'll cover the other points because they're a little quicker for me. Drug use, I used weed for a long time, and at first I was the typical like, oh, this, there's no downsides to this, but you after abusing it long enough, you do kind of end up perma-fried. I ended up quitting when my tolerance got to the point that I couldn't even get high anymore, and I haven't went back to it since. It will affect you in the long run.
Well, by the way, I'm sure people know this in the chat. I've smoked it on and off for years. I mean, I've had, off and on. Like I don't like it, but I'm like, well, fuck it. Might as well just get drunk.
Yeah, if you're gonna use it moderately.
Yeah, I've
caution.
used nicotine and alcohol and marijuana over the years, but yeah, marijuana is going to make you a shell of yourself. I'm sorry, like this whole wonder drug bullshit, and I'm sorry, like the whole what the hell, Michael Phelps, that hot shot swimmer who was a big stoner, but he was like champion in Olympics. Oh yeah, we didn't affect my, it's like that meme, like, oh yeah, like, if you smoke weed, it'll ruin your life. And then they show you the meme of like Michael Phelps. And it's like, shut up. Like anybody who's like defending pot as this wonder drug is a fucking retard.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot worse things you can do, but the idea that it doesn't have any downsides is wrong. Working, I don't like working. I've
Why
made
not
easy
smoke some
money in
pot
my
though,
life.
West? Wait a minute, Western Decline. Why not smoke some pot, watch some porn, we'll play some video games?
You know what?
Why not?
I spent many
You're not
years,
gonna have a wife. What the fuck? Who gives a
many
shit?
years in the goon cave, toking it up, gooning out, and you know, the weed stuff. I think I liked weed better when it was illegal, and it filtered a lot of the kind of cringe soy jacks from getting involved with it. The community was already bad to begin with, but now
I
I
kind
don't
of
want to be
almost like the
associated
whole
with your average
Western
weed
Decline.
user.
I almost like the whole like it being illegal because it could just jam up scumbags and losers and idiots and just people being retarded.
Oh, and you
And I hate
you
to
got
sound
more of a thrill from using it too.
I
You
almost
felt
hate
more like
I hate to sound racist, but it's like God, now it's legal. Now we got all these blacks just smoking up everywhere. Like, it's kind of
yeah,
like
yeah,
kind
yeah,
of an easy way to jam up
yeah.
homies that didn't belong in your neighborhood, kind of thing.
Oh, for sure, for sure. Um, the porn stuff, yeah. I mean, it's been said in the chat here. They get the chicken and the egg backwards. Uh, guys turn to porn because they're not getting the real thing. It's not a matter of people preferring porn. I think a lot of women get that twisted because they might be in a relationship or a marriage where they catch the guy beating off and assume that he's not attracted to them, and the reality is they're probably ignored or rebuffed his advances on multiple occasions. And men don't like getting rejected. They don't like putting their neck out there and continuing to try for something only to have their hands swatted away constantly. So if that's what's going to happen, yeah, he'll just beat off. He doesn't want to go back to not having a girlfriend because there's still advantages to having the woman. You're going to get paid more at work. You're going to get more respect amongst your peers if she's attractive. So even if you're not getting sex, there's reasons to stay there. Maybe you have kids or financial obligations together. But women take this and run with it. They think that my husband isn't is simping for me anymore because he's watching porn. But no, he's beating off because he's not. You're not getting him off. And in the case of men that don't have relationships, like guys that are in relationships are using the stuff, and the women aren't breaking up with them for it. And women themselves are consuming a lot of pornography nowadays. 20 years ago, it would have been unheard of, the idea that a company like Bad Dragon could even exist that sells all these fucking Kraken dildos, horse dildos, dragon dildos. Like, sure, there's some gay guys buying these things, but the vast majority of them are women. Vast majority of people purchasing this is people that watch all the violent porn. It's all women. Like, a lot of guys, myself included, and I've read from others, like the idea that a woman wants to be like slapped or choked or have her hair pulled and everything, like I can see some of it, but like women don't do things like half-assed, and you're putting yourself in a vulnerable position trying to satisfy this stuff. She'll turn around and claim that you abused her if you fucking bruise her ass while you're having like rough sex or something. Like, oh, he slapped me right here on my ass, officer. You see the handprint? So I don't know. I wouldn't do it even if they necessarily wanted to, unless I really trusted the person, which is very difficult. I do agree though that porn is demonic. A lot of it is a good example of this would be that Nala girl that was on like the whatever podcast and is now getting the full tour of being a reformed Christian. Like, she talked about how she loved trying to like ruin guys' marriages and would like peg them to try and turn them gay. Okay. And I think a lot of porn is like this. A lot of porn is aimed at not necessarily even satisfying a heterosexual urge, but to degrade men sexually. If you look at what is recommended initially on a lot of these websites, you have to like go out of your way to search for things that are not like interracial, incest, big dick, cuckold. Like, all this other shit is pushed to you at the forefront. If you want something wholesome, you got to go out of your way to find it. So I think the criticisms of porn are valid, but the solution isn't, just get young men to cold turkey it, because then you're going to have a lot more issues.
Uh,
Porn is kind of like the Jew thing where, porn only works in a society where women aren't doing their job. Jews only get into the inroads when a society is degenerate.
I figured we'd share this little meme since you talked about,
Oh, yeah.
What do you think about this meme, bud?
Yeah, I mean, I would say that this is a little even wrong. I'd say it's much more like a Venn diagram with a large oval of overlap in the middle, because women like to be abused enough that if they want to, they can claim victimhood. You know, they want to be able to take a picture of themselves with a black eye or a bloody nose and go, he was so mean to me and everything else, because if that it's like an insurance policy on a relationship. She can always claim that she didn't really want to be there. It gives the illusion of purity to men that don't like know better.
Don't I mean, this whole weird thing with like women need to be, I mean, I don't want to sound fucking weird now, God, but I mean, if you're not like choking her out a little, pulling her hair a little, slapping her ass a little, I mean, I guess
No,
what
they're
I
gonna
guess
get
what I'm trying
bored.
to
It's just
say,
too milk toast.
Western. I'm trying to tell you that my experience, like, if I mean, you have to do these things. Like, rape is basically just women who don't want to have sex with somebody. Like, basically they want to be raped by men they like. Basically, is I guess what I'm trying to say.
Oh yeah, I agree. And for the majority of human history, this is how all it would have been, kind of like this idea that women need to orgasm, need to have everything else like necessarily focused on them. That's just not the way things were. It was very like male pleasure centric. And they like this, but they're not going to admit that. So, they dress it up as them being like kinky. I choke me, daddy. I'm not like the other girls. And they all act that way. So,
Yeah, I had a thread I don't want to present it because I can't right now. I'm gonna kind of read it or whatever. And I'm just kind of curious what your thoughts are on some of this stuff. This um playing games to allure a woman, using Riz. It seems to me that, all these psychological games to like keep a woman interested in you, to keep a woman, and desiring you. What do you think about like that kind of stuff? Like these little things to try to keep her attention. Like, do you get what I'm saying? I'm trying to find the
yeah.
thread,
No,
but
I know what you mean. I think that Riz is something that didn't come into the lexicon of discussion until uh, lookism had already kind of established itself. And I think that it was kind of a pushback idea on the idea that looks are the most important thing in attracting a mate. And they came up with this Riz idea because Riz is non-specific. It's very nebulous. It's not like you can't necessarily point to what Riz
I
is and
want to
what Riz
mention
isn't.
Western real quick. Western, I want to interrupt you. I'm just going to kind of read a little of this thread. Bear with me, and I just kind of want to hear what your thoughts are on this. So this guy in this Twitter thread saying she asks, "How many women have you slept with? What do you say?" Question mark. Well, what I'm going to tell you will sexually attract a girl at a deep level. Some guys get worried. If you say 20, she's going to think I'm a player. If you tell her one or two, she's going to think you're inexperienced. She might like me, lose interest in me. The fear, the insecurity appear through body language. Because of that, they respond in an insecure way, which turns a girl off. That happens when you don't know how to interact with a girl in the manner that she finds attractive. So you must understand, when a girl asks you a question, you don't have to take it too seriously. You don't need to quickly answer her or answer in a straightforward manner. You can respond in a manner that will create fun and conversation and sexually arouse her, such as you can smile and playfully say, "Well, maybe I'll tell you, but promise that you won't judge me." Okay, question mark. If I tell you no, no judging, all right? Well, look, I've slept with 120 women. At that at that point, hold on. At that point, she's going to laugh. Might say, "What?" question mark. You slept with 120 women? Then you can tell her, then you can tell her only jokingly and playfully and say that you've never slept with a woman and that you're still a virgin. I'm just kind of like going through this thread, Western Decline, like this whole idea that you have to like maneuver in a certain way. Like this sounds fucking clown world,
Oh,
bud.
that sounds insane, and I think that the guy writing that has like a fan fiction of how he thinks interactions with women go, and very little of it is actually the way things are. And this whole having to maneuver around not giving her the ick because you're insecure about this sort of thing, like, this is the problem with women having body counts and why it was always discouraged for the longest time in history. This idea that you're supposed to be like, you can't let her know that your number is actually low. You got to like trick her into thinking it's high, and none of these manipulations would be necessary if we lived in a world the way things used to be. And the way things used to be is that you had like two classes of women. You had marriage material women and you had whores. And men would go see whores and then they'd get married, and some of them would keep seeing whores after they're married or whatever, okay? But like, without these women being there for like practice, okay, without this clear distinction between both groups of women, you end up with this situation where you're trying to like qualify yourself to whores that are invariably going to have so much more experience than you could ever hope to have. Even the chattiest Chad could not acquire the body count that probably even a high to mid tier woman can do quite easily. It's going to take him a lot more work. So this is kind of a situation where like it's like a band-aid fix to like a gaping wound, you know? It's like trying to keep an engine that's already fucking knocking still running, and it's like it's cooked, dude. The situation is untenable. Even if you manage to make it last for a little bit, one little faux pas, little misstep from you, and it's over. It's not supposed to be this intricate dance where you gotta hack her brainstem like perfectly, and no one wrong keystroke and it's over. You're kicked out of the mainframe. Like,
I think I hate these people more than anyone
oh,
because
I do too.
it contains men and never. I just hate to see so many lost men, and this is creating confusion, and I
No, this
don't
is a
like.
Judas goat right here telling them what to do.
We got a woman on Twitter who's been kind of dunking on Pearl Davis, well, supposedly dunking. I guess that's the wrong word. I want to read some of this and just kind of hear your kind of reaction. I'm not going to present it on screen because I'm lazy and I don't give a fuck.
Sure.
So, sex is simply not a need for anyone. No one dies without it. I mean, what do you think about this whole? Well, people in the thread are saying no, it's a need for men, and women will never understand it. But the women are kind of pointing out, like, whoa, wait a minute, you're not going to die without it.
Uh, Women play both sides of this game. On the one hand, when women are trying to talk down to incels and other sex struggling men, they'll tell them that, you're not an animal, you'll survive without it, you're not going to die. But then when those same women need an excuse for why they're cheated on their partner, they'll say, I have needs. Okay, all of a sudden they have a need for sex, even though they're in a relationship. Uh, Women will. They can't be like trusted on a lot of things, and this is one of them. So I don't think that men necessarily need sex either,
Is it
but like,
being maybe dismissive about men getting access to sex maybe a problem? Like that's maybe an angle.
oh, I think it's absolutely a
To
problem, but
dismiss men getting sex is fucked up.
the way that this has to be argued is you have to tell, like, these women have to be made to know in no uncertain terms that, okay, well, you don't need electricity, you don't need running water, you don't need indoor plumbing, you'll survive without all these things. Okay, you'll survive without roads being paved.
Someone's in the thread in this specific Twitter thread. No one needs good food, good wine, or entertainment either. These things just make life worth living. Sex just has an additional value of being the thing that creates human life and preserves our species. So it's a need, not it's actually a need.
Yeah. No, that's along the lines of what I was getting at. My guess would be the women didn't even respond to him.
Yeah, we've heard it over and over again, Western Decline. I'm going to ask you the basic bitch question, and I have some things to add to it, but I want to ask you the first question. And uh, are men entitled to sex? Do men is it their right?
I would say no, but nobody is entitled to anything. And if you want to go to a world where men are told to just suck it up, Prince, you're not entitled to anything, no woman owes you anything, that's fine, but women aren't going to like what follows that because everything has an equal and opposite reaction. And women are not liking being told that they are not entitled to being defended in public. They're not entitled to any of the modern amenities that they've grown accustomed to. So they can play that game of keep away, but the reality that people don't want to admit is that society is built on a agreement of socially enforced monogamy, and that has been eroded. And as it's being eroded, society will erode. Okay, you monogamy was invented as a way to harness the excess productive effort of men to the benefit of everybody around them. And once that carrot is gone and replaced with nothing but stick, you end up with the competency crisis. You end up with what we have 20 million men in America that are prime working age and are instead sitting at home jerking off playing video games. Well, you didn't give them any incentive to put in all the hard work, okay? They realize that women are government property. You know, they get given out to the favorite Zogbot Chads, or oofy doofies get to knock them up. So there's another generation of dependent babbling retards. Like, the average guy does not have any leverage over women. He can't make money anymore. He can't make himself taller. He can't change his personality if he has one that's unattractive. So if women want to play keep away with the sex, then you play keep away with civilization.
I'm going to read a couple of comments in the chat. Every man has been entitled to a wife for the entirety of Western civilization.
Yeah.
They say you don't need sex, but will shame you if you don't. Shame you for it if you don't.
Yeah, accurate.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. I want to ask you. I asked you about men. Are women entitled to sex?
I don't believe so either. And I think that a lot of women are, you know, the fact that with men above their station is why they think that sex kind of doesn't matter so much, because they have no shortage of it. They can always they can always be the slump buster for a man out of their league. So it doesn't even really come into their mind because it's so like abundant for them. But if we had like forced monogamy, and I don't mean like women have a gun put to their head and be told you have to marry this guy, you could enforce it the completely other way too, where you have men, and the guys that have the opportunity to kind of have their pick of the litter when it comes to women, you enforce it instead on them. Okay, you tell these guys, you know you get to pick one of these girls. Okay, and if you step outside of that bounds without like good reason, like she's like cheated on you or something and you have proof, so you're ditching her, uh it's going to be like the death penalty, or you're going to do 10 years hard labor at the salt mines or something. Okay. That would be the response. And then you don't need to enforce women, you don't need to make rules for them. You just punish the man that are going to take more than their fair share. You make it very clear. Kind of like how even top tier men are avoiding marriage because of all the issues that come along with it. You could have these guys avoiding taking more than their fair share if it wasn't structured in such a way that they got away with doing it.
I want to kind of push back a little. Let's just say women are entitled to sex. Who's preventing women's entitlement to sex? Other women. Women want access. They say men aren't entitled to sex. Men they don't get sex, but us women we do. Okay, fine, but who's preventing you from getting the sex you want? Other women.
How do you figure?
I mean, if all the women want the top 20% of men, then other women are the reason you're not getting the man you want, correct?
Well, yeah, this is like on our last stream, I was talking about how you have this weird issue where it seems that the top percentile of women are almost incentivized to side with incels because they want that top man to themselves, but they can't get them because the variety that's being offered by all the other women throwing themselves at him.
Other
prevents
women,
them from ever
other
settling
women
down.
are the reason women can't get laid. That's basically my point.
Well, they can get laid, but in their minds they can't because it's not with the guy they necessarily want.
I want to just read something and I want you to respond. And I think this is not cuckoo land, and hear what you have to say. Women want older man equals preference. Man want a younger woman or younger woman equal predator. Women don't date broke men equal preference. Man don't date single mother equal immature. Women want dominant equal preference. Men want submissive equal misogyny. Women set boundaries equals empowering. Men set boundaries equals controlling. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I mean it's the situation where men's considerations are not taken into account, and everything is the ball is entirely in the court of the women. You know, nobody had anything to say about me and my personal situation when it was obvious that this girl was like following me around and all this other shit. I never heard a word from you know, anybody that's seen the dynamic can't criticize it. The people that were whining at me were people that thought that I was everything in that other column where, you know, I was seeking her out, I was trying to control her, I wanted submissive and all this other shit. Like, if the girl does it, it's fine because it's her choice and she's empowered and she can do what she wants. But if you say that you prefer one of those girls, then it's a problem because I think they're very worried about men having any standards at all because women are very dependent on having this kind of like backup strategy. And I think that they're looking around and they're kind of seeing that the bench warmers that they've been in previous generations accustomed to having left around for when they finally age out of pursuing the guys they actually want. It's very scarce pickings. So they're going to double down on shaming any type of age gap relationship, and you see that Zoomer men they've gotten on board with this too. Zoomer men actually believe that they are entitled to sex. They're the first generation of men that thinks they're entitled to the women of their age group. Whereas I think all previous generations kind of accepted that if you want a woman of your age group, especially when you're young, like you have to either be extremely genetically blessed, have like daddy's money, or you're kind of going to have to wait your turn and wait till you hit your stride and then, you know, get one from a generation that hasn't accomplished that yet while you're still like a
I don't
child.
know. I've got some feedback from some of the cart girls I've been trying to set up one of my buddies with, and it's like they get a visceral reaction to dating older. This idea that like the red pill and grow and kind of come into your find your way and wait till you're 30. I'm sorry, like the black pillars are right. Pretty young girls that are fertile, they're just not interested in Jason Kessler types, or even if you're a normie or whatever.
Oh, I agree. I think that once a man suffers twink death, he's basically barred from ever getting a like the high school dream girl that every man wanted when he came of age. You're never going to get it again after you suffer twink death. Once you lose that kind of the boyishness. You know, some guys hang on to it for a long time, but it depends. It depends on how you develop as the years go by. And the thing that ages you faster than anything else is your hair. So if you go bald and you're like early 20s or something, you're going to be looked at as physically older than a guy who's in his 30s but with a full head of hair. So it kind of
We got
there's your
somebody.
actual age and then there's visual age. So
We got somebody in the chat who says, well, we always complain about white women, coal burner or whatever. It's obviously a problem. Like white women are, miscegenation is off the charts. I'm sorry, any fucking white nationalist who counter signals that's a fucking retard. White men miscegenate the most. I don't really care. That's my kind of response to that Western decline. White men miscegenating, breeding, or with other out groups, to me is not the issue because they can't get laid from their own women anyway. So really the blame has to be put on the women. The white women can get, they have access to white men. White men do not have access to white women.
yeah, well, I agree with that. I think that women of any race are the only gender that can be called race traders because every race has excess men. So not every man of every race will ever be able to get a woman of his own. Assuming they even wanted to, you're always going to have a numbers imbalance unless you're immediately following a war or something. So women always have the option of getting a guy of their own creed. So if they don't like act on that, then yeah, they're the ones that should be held responsible. And even if you necessarily have access to a woman of your own like race, you're not necessarily I don't think you should be expected to accept a very far lower quality just because she's your own race. Like I don't blame a guy for getting like with a hot like 8 out of 10 or something non-white girl if his options among white women were like fat girls, girls with body counts.
Race mixing's not equal, correct?
Well, what do you mean equal? Do you mean
To men and
gender-wise?
women, men and women engaging
Yeah, no,
in race
I don't
mixing
believe
is
that it is.
entirely, and I would say cheating is also. I mean, I hate to be a red pill tard, but I mean, cheating and race mixing does not equivocate. It's not equal to
No,
the
I
gender.
agree. In the case of cheating, women like kind of a Patrice O'Neill type idea is that, infidelity is almost like a turn off for or a turn on for women to a degree because it signals that their mate is like high value enough that he has the opportunity to cheat. Whereas for most men, a woman cheating is a deal breaker because uh, men's paternity is not guaranteed. Okay, there's a lot of deception that can take place where you end up like the unwitting cuckold raising a kid that isn't yours. Whereas women always know that they're the mother, so cheating is less of a red flag to them if it's one at all.
I'm gonna read a Twitter tweet, X tweet, whatever the fuck we're calling it. Jesus fucking Christ, I hate Elon Musk sometimes. This is so fucking stupid. It's Twitter. The wall. The wall has lost its meaning. It's used. It's used. I'm sorry. God, I gotta learn how to read someday. The wall has lost its meaning. It used to be for when a hot person ages horribly or even drinks or does drugs so much it altered their appearance. Now it's for women who are still attractive but don't look 18 anymore. They want women to feel insecure, so they settle. What are your thoughts about the wall stuff and that comment?
I think that that woman is completely retarded. I think that this idea that the wall originally applied to those people, I mean, maybe it did, but I've literally never heard it in the context that she's describing it. Like she seems to be saying that, a famous musician, for example, like Steven Tyler, like started looking like haggard because of all his drug use, and that was the wall, but I've never seen it applied in that sort of situation. I think this is a typical woman's attempt to twist words around. And I bet you if you looked at that woman's account, you'd find a lot of rad femme type postings. And she's probably single, and her goal in life is to keep other women single and rally them around this type of talking point. Give them a little DLC update so that they can stop feeling insecure by hearing this term that, the wall. I will say though that the wall is greatly overstated by like red pillars and MGTOWs and this stuff because even the ugliest women always have options. They just don't have necessarily the options they want. So it's not a hard wall. It's a soft wall. It's like the woman is thrown into a loony bin in a straight jacket and she's bouncing off the rubber walls after that.
Western Decline. You got people like Brian from the whatever podcast who kind of like, and not just Brian, different folks in the red pill space, or men who are for quote feminism. Fine, you want the power, you get all the responsibility too. Like you're on your own, kind of attitude about it. What do you think about that? Like, well, this is the way it is. What do you think about that? Like, well, if they got all the power, they get it all. Like if they want, I don't know. What do you think?
Responsibility without authority is slavery. So women have the authority. They don't want to take any of the responsibility, and they want us to take all the responsibility without having any of the authority. So I'm in agreement with that in the sense that
You're saying
don't
you're like he's kind of like this attitude, Brian. Western Decline with Brian or many others is sort of like let them drown. And what do
yeah,
you,
that's how I feel about it. They don't
how do
want to be helped. Mock them and ignore them. The time for trying to assist them has passed. If they were willing to learn, they would have learned already. And the only tool we have at our disposal is ridicule. So
so does
we
it
should use
bother
it to the
you that
furthest
maybe
extent.
does it bother you that maybe like a Republican trying to stand up for like the transgender bathroom stuff, like You're saying like, no, let's just fucking let it go. Just let it all flow.
Oh yeah, I think accelerationism is cringe, but it's also kind of the only play that we have. So far from keeping trannies out of women's sports, I think women should be kept out of women's sports, and they should all be trannies. And once like sex bots or whatever, if they ever manage to exist, then let those compete too. Let women be completely displaced in what used to be their spaces, and maybe a couple of them will clue in to what they've done to everybody else. It's not so much fun when you don't have any of your own spaces, is it, ladies?
I'm not sure. I don't know. Like that's kind of brutal, but like, what can I do about it, kind of thing, right? I don't know. Like it kind of hurts me a little to like know that like, I talked to you, Western, about this young man who's going to get married, and that's kind of like the same thing with young ladies, like in this, like, or just impressionable people, naive young people, and I want to see them have like a healthy, like good life, and not you know, get immersed in the black pill or even be blue pilled retarded. Just like having self-awareness, having understanding you need to protect yourself. Like I hate to see innocence being kind of defiled, if that makes sense, Western.
I think the only way to correct that would be like I have this fantasy where I'm given like control of the education system or something, and I'm able to write the curriculum for sex ed, and I can just load it up with black pill talking points. And the same way you have like eighth grade boys running around parroting Andrew Tate stuff, or dressing up as the Wall for Halloween when Trump was getting elected, and like driving their teachers insane. Like the answer to a lot of this stuff is education of young men. And you can see that this is the answer, in my opinion, because this is what people push back on. You have women. That's what made people so angry about Andrew Tate. If Andrew Tate was just another Roosh V or Sandman or whatever, that you had to be like an older guy to even find your way to his thoughts. He would have never become the persona non grata that he became. You know, what
Art,
made people
this is
hate him
sort
was
of like
his
a
appeal
weird,
to young
god
men.
damn it, Western Decline. This is like a weird containment thing. I see it as like containment. Like the men, they, the men are tricked into like following suit. It's almost to their own detriment to like a lot, like to defend women's honor about like tranny bathrooms or whatever, right? It's am I am I lost here? Am I out of
No,
my
I think that society relies
it's a
on a
psychological
perpetually deceived
it's a
group of men.
weapon against the men as a collective to buy into like being a simp still.
Yeah. No, because men don't just simp for women, they simp for the state by proxy through women. So once a man becomes self-interested, he becomes not just a problem for women, but for society at large. They don't like dealing with men that are out for themselves because those men make unpredictable decisions. It's kind of like oh, you ever see that movie Taken with Jason Statham? Okay, like the whole plot of that movie never could have happened if the guy never
I
had
think
a
it was
family.
Liam Leeson
Or sure, yeah, sure, Liam Neeson, my bad. I got him mixed
Oh, the
up.
racist, by the way. He wanted to kill black people.
Yeah.
Shout out to that man.
Yeah. Yeah, just the point is that you lose a lot of control over men when they're not playing the game you want them to play. When they zig, they expect you to zag. And when you stop making that move, a lot of their plays stop working. So information is the best weapon. And if you could, I haven't quite figured out what the TikTok was working for a while, but like there needs to be a way to basically mentally inoculate young men against being deceived like this. And I'm not sure the best way to do it.
Do you see maybe a wall breaking Western decline with this kind of narrative, feminism kind of falling apart? Do you see a shift? Do you actually see any cultural changes moving forward? Obviously, there's a lot going on on the Twitter threads the narrative's shifting. You got a lot of people like Pearl Davis are wide open with a market that's, clearly she's taking advantage of a market that is there. Do you see any real change happening? I don't know, bud.
The only kind of white pill that I see
I mean, we
happening
just hold
right
up real
now
quick,
is
Western. And we just played the damn video before the stream as the stream started. I mean, even football players, you say it's AstroTurf, but like, you get what I'm saying? Like this kind of shift.
yeah, I think that it will be a controlled shift though, and that they're kind of adopting these opinions to stop the pendulum from swinging back to where we'd really like to see it swing to. They're gonna try and soften the swap, keep it more like in a centralized type of area. And I think this is why you see women pivoting to right wing politics, because they sense this kind of power change in the air, and they want to be at the forefront of it so that they can run damage control from positions of influence. In terms of things that I see happening that are kind of encouraging, probably the only one I see is young Gen Z women complaining about having to work. That's probably most of them will probably just end up doing an OnlyFans or something. But the idea that young women are out there, kind of the way we look at boomer men,
It's
and going like,
fucking infuriating. It's so frustrating, Western Decline, especially for me as a millennial, but I imagine younger guys in their late 20s. You hear about this equal partnership. We're all equal, women and men. We all get to vote. We all work. And now all these women on TikTok saying they want to be housewives all of a sudden. Well, fuck, the men quit working already, in case you didn't know.
yeah, you push them out of the workplace. It's a little late for that, but that
And
that mind shift.
we're gonna all jump and sign up to get a new job for what? For what? Because you already slept with a homie. You already fucking had a baby. What the fuck are we gonna go to work for?
Yeah, no, I agree. That's just the only thing that's slightly encouraging is the idea that some of them you do see feeling like they got scammed by being tricked into the workplace. And if there is a hope, I think it would be there. Kind of the enlightened self-interest angle where you can trick women into doing what you want by making them realize that it's in their best interest to do so.
Oh, by the way, Morgan Marketing, quit fucking complaining in the chat. You're gonna get fucking banned, dude. This is my fucking show, my stream, my channel. Fuck off, man. I get it. I interrupt. So what? Fuck you, dude. God, I get fucking tired of the chat. Fucking complain all the time. Don't listen to my stream then, faggot.
To respond to Tradster with misogynistic counter Semites will end this charade. That reminded me of another white pill that I seen, which was a young like Zoomer girl was actually calling into it was like a city council meeting or something. They had Zoom calls calling in, and there were like black immigrants there, and this Zoomer girl called in, obviously like young girl, and you hear her voice and she says that how about you niggers just go home because we're tired of you, nobody wants you here. And the like boomers that were running the thing like panicked, and they were like, oh, we muted her, we're muted. And she pipes up, she goes, you didn't mute me, you retarded boomer. So yeah, maybe there is some hope. Maybe a generation of misogynistic counter Semites couldn't turn this ship around, but it remains to be seen. So
All right, Western, I'm gonna read a tweet, and I'm just gonna kind of ask you about this kind of normalizing inceldom. Why is incel ideology spreading so much? I'm gonna read a comment. It really bothers me that everywhere I go, I see young men engaging in this kind of behavior. I've overheard my cousins, 14 to 16 age, say incel words. Young men in the comments always fiddling with the black pill ideology. What is going on? How can this be stopped? If this keeps going on, I fear for the safety of women who will never know if a man you see on the street is an incel or not. You don't know when they might snap. Worried about violence. Incels are violent. What do you think about normalizing this stuff? Women should be society should be worried about men.
I think that there was a quote around the time Trump got elected where people basically said that You know, they memed a president in because they were bored and it was funny. And you know, say idle things are the devil, idle hands are the devil's playthings. Well, idle penises and idle young men are the black pillars playthings, because if society isn't going to give them a purpose, not going to give them anything fun or self-gratifying to do, we can do that for them. We can tell them what the truth as we see it, and let them draw their own conclusions, whether our version of reality lines up better with how things are or the bullshit they're being fed does. And it doesn't take too many peeks behind the curtain, like in Wizard of Oz, before you start realizing that we're not we're not the ones blowing smoke up their ass. We're not the ones expecting them to ignore their lying eyes and just believe women. Okay, and this is without them even necessarily getting any success. We don't really even have to do anything. You know, People would be arriving at these conclusions just in lesser number if none of us were making videos, none of us were making comments, none of us were saying anything, because the biggest recruiter for any of these communities, whether it be red pill, black pill, MGTOW, inceldom, women. Women are the ones that send guys here. They send them their own way. They relegate them to inceldom. All we do is welcome them at the door. Okay, we don't need to go. We don't need to go seek them out. So there is no stopping it. Women aren't all of a sudden going to go back to traditional gender roles. They're not going to start, practicing enforced monogamy. They're not going to pair up at a 1-to-1 ratio. So it's an inevitability. The only way that this could ever be stopped necessarily is if the government somehow declared every single incel a terrorist. But you can't throw 80% of your male population into a gulag and expect things to keep functioning as is. So they're kind of at an impasse with that. And I think that that's why we'll start seeing the erosion of women's rights to some degree.
Do you really believe that women's rights are under threat? I know that there's this new kind of abortion laws that have been passed in the last few years. I know they've tried to kind of. I imagine the government, America, and I'm kind of talking out of my ass, but I know they've got people that are, they're not, the government's not totally like retarded. I assume that the government's aware of like birth rates, yada yada yada. So maybe like, do you see that this abortion law stuff, is this like a governmental thing? Like, hey, wait, like, holy shit, we need to start breeding. Immigration ain't gonna cut it. Is this like a measure from the government? Not maybe, like you said, we talked about AstroTurf. Maybe the left, the woke left, and that this American regime is saying, it's like the Bill Maher kind of like angle, right? Where he's a liberal, but he's kind of like pushing back and like trying to be.
Whoa! We went too far, guys.
Yeah. Continue. Go ahead.
Yeah. I think that they kind of showed us the extreme version of this by like putting out A Handmaid's Tale, and I don't think it's so much that the government is winding back on women's rights and revoking them. I think that it's kind of a natural self-balancing system where women really don't have any rights. Men really don't either. They rely on external force to spawn those rights into existence by protecting their ability to be practiced. So if nobody is willing to inflict violence upon the people that are taking your rights away, then you never really had your right to begin with. And when you de-incentivize men from protecting you, from enabling your abortions and everything else, like what you think was your God-given right, you'll find out it was actually your man-given right. So it'll just fall away and evaporate. There's a guy I follow on Twitter who's been making me laugh, and there's always these jokes about how, women, you want to invest, put all your money in stocks of boxed wine and cat food. And it's funny, but you might make a little bit of money. But this guy's downright like dastardly in his strategies, and what he suggests to do is that you put all of your money into cryopreservatives. So the technology and the materials that women rely on for egg freezing, and you price gouge them so that women can't delay giving birth with freezing eggs for IVF practices later in life by making it prohibitively expensive and driving up the cost. And I think that approaches like this are far more effective because you hit women right where it hurts. You attack them directly at their kind of loophole strategies. You're not going right at women, as a class. Yeah, yeah, like the Martin Shkreli method, but you're price gouging the things that they're using to bypass their normal reproduction. Make hormonal birth control prohibitively expensive. If you want, I could hypothetically do some Fed posting here. If you really wanted to really throw a wrench in women's gears, if there was a way to disable, like the factory that is producing hormonal birth control. Like if you remember during COVID, all these food production facilities all of a sudden just burst into flames and nobody had any idea how any of that happened. No arrests were ever made. Yeah, egg freezeflation. So I think that this is the way to really fight back at them. You got to fight back at them economically. If men are being priced out of the workplace, priced out of all of this, price women out of ducking their reproductive window. So
Good stuff, Western Decline. I got one more kind of thing I'm going to throw at you, and then I guess I'll ask you about some different commentators, and we'll wrap it up.
sure.
How about the whole angle of kind of like winning over a woman using men, tearing down other men to get women? Have you ever heard that? Have you ever tried that? Have you ever, seen it before?
I got in a fist fight in high school, and I went from being invisible to like a designer handbag that every woman wanted to be seen with for about a week after KOing my opponent. So if you actually physically tear down a guy, I think it is like an aphrodisiac for women.
Are you familiar with the show The Sopranos?
Yeah.
There's a Italian gentleman in the later seasons. He played in a lot of films. He was in the movie Fugitive. I
Okay.
forget his name. He's the kind of bald guy in the movie. Has a wig.
There's a couple of those.
He's in the Matrix. He's Cypress is the character I'm
Okay.
talking
All
about.
right. Yeah.
I think it's Ralph in Sopranos, and he beat whores to death. And he was quoting and saying after the television show finished that he'd never had more women attracted to him
Yeah.
for physically and basically murdering whores on screen.
Yeah. Well, that's one of my favorite running jokes is that, how is it that abusive men always have a woman to abuse? It's interesting. Far from being put off by it, women seem very attracted
Good
to it.
fucking God, Western Decline. That is a fucking Hail Mary home run. Holy shit. Think about it for a fucking second. Think about it. Why is it that all these fucking homies that are playing football, what was it? Rice, the Raven guy, belted the woman in the elevator. All these hot shots, they got plenty of women to abuse. Like, you cannot abuse a woman if you don't have women. Why do you have women? Because you abuse them. Holy shit, Western, you're the man.
And that's, it brings back to that point where we're talking about, these women wanting to stop incel rhetoric. Incels are not the dangerous ones. Women are most likely to be harmed by men in their immediate life, partners. If you're statistically a woman's like ex-boyfriend or her boyfriend or something, that's the guy most likely to hurt her. Yeah, incels don't have girlfriends. They don't have ex-girlfriends. So this idea that incels are actually dangerous is completely missing of the point. And I think it's intentionally so on women's behalf. I don't give them the benefit of the doubt here. They're trying to want discussion of women's behavior shut down under the guise of women's safety, and it's just not going to happen because the same way you can't take porn away, you can't take away men's desire to want to understand the predicament that they find themselves in. And the more women try to censor it, the more the government tries to shut it down, the more of a Streisand effect it's going to have, and the more it will be sought out.
I mentioned incel rage earlier. Someone in the chat saying that it's the most dangerous to the status quo. Do you believe that?
I do, but not in the way like when people say dangerous to the status quo, it conjures to the mind ideas like, the killdozer, like one man going up against the powers that be with, yeah, self-destructive intent. And I do agree it's the most dangerous, but it's the most dangerous in a very pacified sort of way where if enough men get demoralized to the point that they stop participating, there will be a point where things cannot function as necessary. It will just continue to get like worse and worse and worse. So I think that that's why this topic is shut down as much as it is, and they try to control it because if you discuss this stuff enough, you really realize that there's not a whole lot you can do. You can try to lose some weight to, make use of what looks you do have. You can try and avoid the usual blue pill pitfalls, and you can try to put yourself in places where women are. But beyond those things, extreme diminishing returns. And once you've tried them and it's failed, you become a very self-serving sort of person where at least I did. I'm not really interested in helping too many other people, because it's like I told my PO, okay, like I don't feel like I got a fair shake. uh, why am I obligated to be giving out fair shakes? If we're gonna play this Darwinian game where everything's a zero sum game, uh, you know, it's not enough that somebody's winning, there has to be losers, then I'm gonna start playing the game quite differently. And unfortunately, a lot of other guys I think are at the same point. And you're not gonna have a functioning, cohesive society if your populace is 80% of men are like brigands out for their own gain.
Good stuff, Western Decline. You really are a fucking fantastic guest. I've really enjoyed our chat here, man. You fucking always hit. You're the bomb, man. Really, you did a good job tonight. I'm gonna ask you about some names. I'm gonna throw some names at you, and I just want you to respond, okay, bud? And then we'll get the hell out of here.
Yeah, sounds good.
The first one I'm gonna say is Alec Manassian.
Running through these hoes like I'm Alec Manassian. Eggy's best song.
Oh well, you mentioned Eggy, so talk a little bit about Alec Manassian, and then why don't you talk about Eggy after that?
Okay. I mean, Alec Manassian, the guy was obviously mentally ill. Okay, like this.
Wait a minute. Wait a second. Before you mention Alec Manassian, I want you to respond. You saw the interrogation, I assume.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts about the police officer? Before you mention Alec, what do you think about the quote Chad cop interviewing him?
I mean, the police officers are very spiteful. The ones that I dealt with my personal case, they love to do things to get under your skin. Like, for example, I had my sentencing for my harassment charge. They scheduled it for my 30th birthday, the day of. So I don't doubt that they intentionally gave him the chattiest cop possible to grill him there. It was probably an intentional thing. They love to take psychological digs at these people. So,
Go ahead and talk about Alec Manassian if you want.
I mean, if you look at Alec Manassian, it's obvious he's like mentally ill, and I don't mean oh, he hasn't had any pussy and he went crazy like the Joker sort of mentally ill. I mean, like he's playing with a few cards short of a full deck. Okay, the guy's he reminds me of a kid that I went to school with, okay? And this kid, like, my mom ended up adopting the dog that his mother had got for him to try and teach him how to be like a functioning human being, but he was like too far gone. So my mother and his mother knew each other through like parent teacher meetings or something, and we ended up getting his dog. But this kid used to tell stories that were like so unbelievable, but he didn't realize they were unbelievable because he'd say things like, yeah, I put wheels on my mattress of my bed and I rode it down the hill on Main Street. Okay, and nobody would ever question him on this because he was just obviously like retarded, and not in like a this making fun of him sort of way. Like he just an unfortunate individual, and that's basically how Alec Manassian was. The fact that he was even able to drive a van is like an accomplishment in my view.
Oh God. Well, yeah, that's fair to say. Probably. I guess since we asked you about Alec Manassian, I might as well talk about ER. What do you think about ER?
I mean, the ER situation is. First of all, I'd like to say that I'm skeptical of the whole thing. It came about at a time when they really needed a new boogeyman. The fervor around 9/11 and the war on terror had really been dying down. They needed a new guy to uh, a new Osama bin Laden to justify domestic spying and keep the whole thing going. And I think the fact that his family was involved with Hollywood and everything else is very suspicious. The fact that he never actually managed to allegedly hurt any women, despite that supposedly being his stated goal. The only people he allegedly injured were like his roommates and this other shit.
I
Well,
heard it was white males, white men. Someone heard a lot of people say he's a Jew, a Jewish kid.
yeah, his father definitely does look Jewish. So combined with the Hollywood stuff, I wouldn't
Uh,
put it past him. And I actually, the best video on the subject matter would be Incel TV's video titled "A Father's Failures," and that basically addresses how I feel about that subject entirely, assuming
you
it's
think
real.
ER was a true incel? I mean, was
Oh,
he?
absolutely. A lot of people will say that he looked good. He could have got a
Well, he's got
girl.
a good. He comes from wealth. He lives out in Beverly Hills. He's driving a BMW.
Uh,
He's not
he
totally disgusting
he
looking.
wasn't as
I mean,
wealthy
I get
as.
it. I get it. He's a brown kid. I know, and all the women,
The thing is a lot of this is location based as well, okay? And in the case of ER, there are a lot of things that hurt him. One, his parents had a very dysfunctional marriage, so I relate to that a lot. He had no clue what was going on. Two, his father had to race mix already, okay? His father could not get a white woman. So his father couldn't even get a white woman. They moved somewhere where he's surrounded by nothing but white women. How's he supposed to get one when his father can't even teach him anything? Three, his sister was getting her cheeks clapped in the room beside him in his house the whole time. Okay, these are things that used to be done as like to like prisoners of war. Like when the Bolsheviks took Berlin, every woman between the age of 8 and 80 that they either ran and got shot in the back or they were raped, okay? Like having to hear your female family members get fucked is things that used to happen to people that lost wars. And now people have to fucking listen to that shit in their household, and their parents think that it's no big deal, you know. Your sister's just exploring her sexuality while your incel son has to hear all that shit going on and deal with the psychological pressure of it. It's not natural, it's not normal, and people used to have the decency to keep that shit away from their family members.
Western. I never had to deal with that. I'm like a millennial, so it's like I was before the internet. But on top of that, Western Decline, I was the elder. I was the oldest. So I can't imagine being a young kid and then you have an older sister who's just getting just plowed every night.
Imagine you're an older incel and it's your younger sister. Even worse.
And on top of
Yeah.
being the oldest, I feel like I'm better than my siblings. I'm bigger, taller, faster, smarter, just more. I'm just better than you all, but I just feel I'm way better than my siblings. So it's like I can't imagine being like the youngest of like a four and having three sisters or two sisters who are older than you and tall. And you know how maturity with women and young people and how they mature faster and God, that must be tough. Like I was always bigger than everybody. I never had to deal with getting bullied. I mean,
Yeah.
fuck, man. I just don't know what it's like being a fucking like the youngest of the family and hearing like your sister getting
Yeah.
plowed by some homie
It,
next in the next room.
it's not good. And in the case of the money issues, his father, like if you listen to the emails between him and his wife, like they were not doing as well financially as living in where they were, and him driving a BMW would indicate. Like the BMW he had was not like new at the time. Okay, it wasn't like an M series, it wasn't top of the line. It was like a secondhand kind of base model BMW that people used to try and extrapolate to him being this entitled rich kid. And the truth is that guy was dealt a hard hand in life. He had a dysfunctional parents to look up to. He got the worst of both traits. He didn't get his father's size. He got his mother's kind of ugly features and neuroticism. He did not have enough money to get by on having money with women in the area that he lived. So I sympathize with him a lot insofar as it's a real story. So
People on the chat are a little in the dark, living under a rock, apparently. Did you just want to explain quickly who Elliot Rodger was?
yeah, Elliot Rodger was the alleged Isla Vista shooter. Very like HAPA young man that uploaded videos of him in his car talking about like retribution against women for rejecting him. It's stuff like this that makes me think that the whole thing kind of glows, because it's very convenient that the very first kind of incel alleged attacker has all of these like conveniently available clips of him discussing what he's going to do, and wrote a manifesto on top of it, and no women actually got hurt, and his dad works in Hollywood. So I'm on the fence about it.
What are your thoughts about Stefan Molyneux?
I listened to a lot of Stefan Molyneux for political stuff back in the day when he was still on YouTube. I used to like him kind of I viewed him as kind of before we had what's his face? Who's the black guy that died who did all the takedowns of women? Kevin Samuels. Before we had Kevin Samuels, Stefan Molyneux was doing similar things, like kind of schooling white women. And I like those clips of him. I like that he is he's seems to be on base with a lot of topics. I just find him to be kind of long-winded. He has the patience to the take the long path explaining logic to retards.
I align him with like that other fucking tard from Britain. Who the fuck is that thing? That guy who thinks he knows it all. What the hell's his name? The fucking God, now I don't even remember his name. I unsubbed from him years ago or months ago, or the guy that used to hang out with Richard Spencer, the provocateur, fuck, what's his name?
Edward Dutton.
Dutton,
Or
yeah.
Donald
Fucking
Dutton.
Dutton. I align him with Dutton. You both those guys think they're so fucking smart. They're not even that smart. They're not even that interesting. They're boring.
Yeah, Stefan Molyneux specializes in having the patience to take smart arguments, bite them or knock them down into little bite-sized pieces, and spoon feed them to 100 IQ normies. So,
what do you think about Sandman?
I like Sandman's content, but I find it to be very kind of intro level. If you've watched 10 of his videos, you may as well have watched all of them.
I fucking hate fake people. That's a fake person. I'm sorry. He's a fakey. He's a fraud. He's a phony. He's a nothing. He's not even human.
Yeah, it does come across as very inhuman. And the thing that I found most suspicious about Sandman is that he loves to use trannies in his thumbnails and all of his videos. So I think I see Sandman almost as a guy that's trying to almost push men towards being gay. I wouldn't be surprised to find out that he's like a closeted individual, and although I agree with a lot of his talking points, I feel like he's almost recruiting for the fag community.
Yeah, fuck that guy. Honestly.
I'd put him in the same kind of category as a turd flinging monkey who
Well,
is
that was
like a butt
another
plug
person
vendor.
that Western Decline. I was just going to ask you about that. Thoughts on that? The whole idea. What do you think of this dude? Turd flinging monkey is the fucking worst. I'm sorry. Fuck that dude. I'd fucking punch him in the face if I seen him on the street.
I mean, that was the guy that kind of got me started in this community. I happenstance came across I believe Turd Flinging Monkey was appearing on Incelmatics, and I got to appear as a guest. And he didn't like the anecdotes that I brought up about how infatuated my sister is with her, criminal lifestyle partner, and he didn't like that I challenged him on whether he'd actually ever gotten a woman and preferred his rubber dolls over them, or if he was just coping. So I have a lot of common ground with guys like this, but where we differ too much. I think that he's TFM is peak man sent his own way, and like he looks ridiculous when he goes on these podcasts and he's got his fucking monkey avatar holding a love doll.
I dated all these different
Yeah.
types. I even dated a fat girl and got her thin. Blah blah blah. What a fucking piece of shit. The guy's a fraud. Fuck that dude.
Yeah, I just don't believe him. I think that he completely plays a character to try and add more legitimacy to his arguments, that if a picture of him was ever revealed, it would not be anything believable. You would look at this guy and you go, okay, I see how you ended up fucking a lump of rubber, bro.
What is your thoughts on no hymen, no diamond? Undead Chronic.
I like Undead Chronic. I feel like Undead Chronic is kind of an undercover incel who plays this character of the gym max Giga Chad who slays all the bitches.
Smoke more weed, bro.
Yeah,
Like,
I
I
mean,
fucking hate that dude. The dude's a fucking fat fuck. I could fucking I'd knock him out in one fucking
like
punch.
I for what it's worth, I feel like, we're kind of the same alignment. I like that he's anti-Israel and Jews. I like that he's willing to cover those topics. I like that. I like No Hymen, No Diamond. It has a nice ring to it. It's very inflammatory and it's right to the point. It's good branding. I don't think it's ever necessarily going to catch on, but it's very much my opinion. If women relegate me to having no choices but other men's scraps, then I'm going to relegate them to never receiving any kind of commitment from me as a result. So, I think that if I had to list an issue that I have with them, I don't like that he takes credit for a lot of the things that were created as a community. Maybe he was around when they kind of came about, but like the way he brands himself as like the red pillar, the MGTOW, it was like his ideas. It's kind of like he's like a new age Paul Elam almost. Like it was definitely a community wide thing.
Do you have any thoughts about MGTOW chat? What's his name? Milton? What the hell's his name? Do you know what I'm talking about?
I don't.
Fuck, I forget his name. God, I'm so bad with this shit. There's so many fucking people or names out there, MGTOW chats, YouTube, I forget his name. What is his fucking name, guys? Help me out in the chat. Jesus Christ. Lamprey Milt?
Trying to think of where the name I know of. I can't think of what I would have listened to. That's like Steve Hoka era stuff.
Exactly. Do you have any opinions of like think before they sleep? Or actually, before you say that, I want to go back to Turd Flinky Monkey for a minute. With this kind of right-wing angle, a free market, kind of an anti-communist, kind of like this, kind of like conservatard, like I made my money. What do you think about this sort of, I don't know, like this whole like libertarian bullshit?
I think that's kind of why TFM has the audience, and like he's never been doxxed, never been banned off YouTube.
Wait a minute, Western. Before you even say anything, think about that for a second. Like, that's just it, right? It's like this appeal to the fucking dumb normies. It's like a fucking goddamn Aaron Clary fucking move,
Well, it's the same kind of idea why Andrew Tate would be like
It's like a black guy doing conservative YouTube. It's fucking disgusting.
It comes across as an attempt to funnel men back to generating GDP. Like, you can get your money up, contribute to the system. You don't need these bitches. Get your money. And like, if that's your thing, it's like weightlifting. I'm not gonna knock a guy for trying to be financially successful or set like new personal records, whatever. Just don't think and don't tell other people that it's gonna help you significantly with women, because I think we've found conclusively by now that it's really not the case. It might help marginally, but it's not a silver bullet to the problem.
What do you think of people like John Doyle?
I'm not familiar. I mean, maybe his face will
He's
jog.
kind of like a Nick Fuentes, kind of less edgy.
Yeah, just not familiar.
All right. I did ask you about think before they sleep. Did you answer that one?
No, in the case of think before they sleep, somebody in the chat could uh, fill this in. I'm pretty sure he turned into like a simp. He used to do some kind of like the okay videos. I agreed with some of it. It was good kind of background noise, nothing like groundbreaking. But didn't he marry another YouTuber or female content creator or something and kind of like Monday FA Monday 180 on a lot of the things he said before?
Did he really?
Yeah, I think so.
He seems like just kind of a nerd. I don't know. I don't know. Thoughts on some of these females that are, I don't know if you follow them. I don't really follow them too closely. People like the real Alex Clark. I don't know if you're familiar with her. I don't know. There's a couple other ones out there. What's I don't know, I'm trying to remember.
Oh yeah, didn't he get with Brittany Venti? Isn't that who Think Before You Sleep?
Get
Yeah,
out
yeah,
of
yeah.
here! Did he
Yeah.
really? Get
Yeah,
out
that's
of
what I'm
here!
saying.
No way!
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, that's what yeah, he did a 180 after she like I don't know. Yeah. Yeah, we all know how Brittany Venti thinks of this stuff. She's like a cringe like troll. So,
What do you think about guys who do YouTube who kind of like do the whole like uh point and laugh at women? The kind of why women or why men quit dating type kind of like like the Taylor the Fiend type. So they're constantly playing. It's like this. It's like the Undead Chronic kind of narrative, almost that that like the women like how do I say it? The narrative that men have options. Men are actually hold the keys of some kind. That's kind of the narrative I'm seeing with some of these like red pill, like Taylor the Fiend type kind of accounts.
in the case of Taylor the Fiend, for whatever reason, he's one of the few people in this kind of sphere that I think actually does have options. He strikes. No, I'm not like a fanboy. I don't necessarily watch his videos, but he does actually come across as like suave and smooth. I don't see the same kind of social faux pas when interacting, the dead air, the tripping over your words and whatnot that I see from Undead Chronic and some like other people. I actually kind of believe in his case that he's probably like an upper tier guy who just like mocks women for fun. Um, as for that kind of genre in general, I think that shame and mockery, ridicule, it's one of the only tools that we have at our disposal when it comes to women. And I don't know if it's necessarily a good thing to keep rubbing their nose in all their mistakes, but we can only hope that the next generation of women will see that these other women they're not held in high esteem, they're not happy with the decisions that they made on a personal level, so maybe they will witness this and correct course or reconsider. I don't think it's very entertaining stuff. If I was like 18, I'd probably maybe have a different opinion. I'd be like, whoa, these bitches are getting fucking owned. But it's yeah, and that point as well about OG MGTOW chuds hate the black pill discussions. Yeah, because they don't like being reminded in most cases that they took their unwanted balls and went home because nobody wanted to play. Like it's not
What are
very
you,
few of them.
what are your thoughts on Tom Likas? From what I understand, he's an Irish American Jew, Irish Jew, white Irish Jew. Kind of, was the kind of the
That
beginner,
radio show host, right?
yeah, the beginner of this stuff. Tom Likas
Yeah.
is a fat Irish Jew living in LA, and he was sort of the one to start all the red pill stuff, I think.
Yeah, I think that some of these guys were kind of Weinstein types, boomers that were able to take advantage of their position. You know, he probably had some connections in like the media world where
You
he
see the
lived.
problem though, Western, with these personalities where like, don't get married, bang as many chicks as you can. I know you've heard this narrative or
Yeah.
these talking points, and then I know you've heard Nicholas J. Fuentes and talking about how, you know, having sex with women is gay. Banging chicks. Hell by the Dashboard Light. Shout out to Hell by the Dashboard Light. Hell, we haven't mentioned his name. Fucking shout out to Hell by the Dashboard Light. He's the big dog. He talks about this. The narrative of with heterosexuals banging, fucking, screwing, but then with the gay community, he
Yeah,
talks.
they're in love. It's
You know,
romantic.
the
Yeah.
narrative with the gay communities, like it's all about love and connection and
Yeah.
a partner. And I guess
Yeah.
I'm kind of asking you, Western Decline, I'm asking you that this whole like Tom Likas, you know, like don't get married, have a lot of have a fucking buffet of women. Like, is this really conducive? Does this work for society? Like,
Well,
I get so triggered, real quick, Western. I get so fucking triggered with this libertarianism.
yeah.
Do whatever you want, do what feels good, just do whatever you feel, whatever's, you know, whatever you fucking feel like. This is fucking stupid.
Men can be destructive sexually as well, and I think that Jews like Tom Likas are complicit in encouraging the worst behaviors among men and playing into the gender divide. I really don't want. I don't like seeing women get beat up in the UFC. I don't like seeing women get humiliated on a whatever podcast. I also don't like seeing women make retarded decisions in real life that are destructive to themselves, their family members, and society as a whole. So I might say things here that women find offensive or disagree with vehemently or whatever, but ultimately I'd like to see like things return to, if not the past, something that works better than it currently does for both parties, because I really don't think that the majority of men or women are benefiting from the way things are currently arranged. And we might disagree over how to solve the problems, but I think at this point, at least, both sides can say that as we're currently doing things, it's not working.
Well, what are your thoughts about uh people like Sneeko, maybe the lead attorney, some of the others leaving the red pill, YouTubers, streamers, grifters, abandoning the red pill? What's your take?
I mean, I think they're going through the thing that a lot of us did. You know, I started out with the coping, thinking I was a man gone his own way. Then I tried the self improvement phase with the red pill stuff, and eventually, you know, all roads lead to black pill. So they're just normies. They're a little bit slower on the uptake. They'll end up where we're at eventually. Like abandoning the red pill is, you know, kind of like abandoning Santa Claus. You know, it's not going to bring you the presents that you want. So there's no point paying lip service to it.
We got someone in the chat asked about Dr. K, Dr. space K. I'm not familiar. Do you know who we're talking about?
No, I'm not familiar.
Yeah, me neither.
It's a big community. I wish I knew all these guys, but unfortunately, you know, you could spend 24 hours a day consuming this content and you'd never run out of it.
Yeah, that's a great point. Uh, Western Decline, I want to thank you for coming on the stream. You're a great guest. You have a great insight on this issue regarding relationship dynamics. You've clearly thought about this a lot, and you have. I think you're pretty. I think you're one of the better. You know, people commentators about this topic, and yeah, man, you hit a home run tonight, bud.
No, thanks for having me. And
Mhm.
I'm quite a bit of a Hell by the Dashboard Light fanboy. I'm a first
Yeah,
fanboy too.
I
It's a
never.
shame that they don't get along, because I feel like one of the most pivotal things that ever happened in this community was Hell by the Dashboard Light appearing on Face and LMS's stream, and I feel like we could almost put this thing to bed in one day. Like if we had like first Hell by the Dashboard Light, Face and LMS, uh, if you could get like Monday, FA Monday, like if you just had like a stacked roster of like the 10 people that ever contributed the most to this stuff and put them all in the same place and kept them from flinging shit at each other, I think that you could make like a almost like a comprehensive video. It'd probably end up being 8 or 10 hours long, but it would cover 80% of the viewpoints of all this subject matter. Yeah, the all-star stream. And you could it would be the kind of thing that you could show to your son or show to your male family member and go like, hey, like give this a listen. And it would be, maybe that's the answer to, you know, educating young boys. You know, you'd have to have one of these funny ass like groups of guys get together and just hash it all out.
All right, guys, that's the stream. Western Decline, we should do another one, huh?
Yeah, you know.
Yeah, well, we're gonna do another stream with Western Decline. He's a top level streamer. He's got it all figured out. He's got all the answers. And if you have any questions, comments, opinions, don't worry. We're gonna do it again. Thank you very much, Western Decline. Had a good night. Everyone in the chat. Until next time. Go ahead. Last comment, opinion, question. Go ahead, Western.
Yeah, thanks for tuning in. And if you don't want to end up on probation like me, unable to leave Canada for 5 years, don't ask women out, even if they're stalking you. Assume that it's some sort of government intelligence agency trying to get you caught up. If it's too good to be true, it probably is, boys. So have a good one. Thanks for tuning in.
Have a good night, everyone.